right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to look around the crowd and see what we have. Do we have Dr. Shorman in the audience? No, not yet. I know he's here. So we'll introduce him later. We have some very distinguished VIPs present today, and we will absolutely recognize them. But probably our most distinguished member of the Pentathlon family couldn't quite make it today, but he did offer us a video message. Let's hear it from Prince Albert II of Monaco.
Dear President, dear Klaus Schormann, Honorable Catherine Harris, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'd like to say how much I regret for not being among you today, as a number of official engagements do not permit me to travel to the wonderful city of Sarasota. Let me express my congratulations to Dr. Klaus Schormann, President of the International Modern Pentathlon Union, and to the Honorable Catherine Harris, Chairman of the World Cup Organizing Committee, for their efforts to provide an outstanding experience for all those involved in this first World Cup of the 2015 season. I wish to each athlete proudly representing their national colors the best results possible. Make every effort count and make the most of this moment for yourself and for your country. Hard training, fair play, respect of the competitors, these are the values of our sport, and they will contribute to defining you as a person and instill a sense of accomplishment that shall remain forever. To all the athletes, coaches, officials, volunteers, and friends of the Olympic sport of modern pentathlon, I wish you a very successful and rewarding event. Thank you.
Albert's quite a guy. He's a 5-time Olympian in bobsled. He has competed in modern pentathlon. He's a huge supporter. And like I said, we're going to introduce some dignitaries today, but probably, you know, you introduce dignitaries all the time. But I'm going to introduce the next dignitary, who not only is a dignitary, she works hard. And none of this would happen without the wonderful effort of the chairperson of the local organizing committee for Sarasota-Bradenton, Catherine Harris.
Hello, welcome. Isn't this incredible? And you did it. This is the community of Sarasota and Bradenton, how magical it is that we have the Olympic sport of modern pentathlon right here. Are you thrilled? So we have so many exciting things ahead of you today and tomorrow. And if you want to be involved, please make sure you go on the website and get involved, because we're going to get to have the finals next year. You're seeing the bookends. You're seeing the beginning of those who are winning the points to go to Rio. And then next year, you'll see the finals and you all the way in between, so you'll get to know these athletes firsthand who are going to be starring in the Olympics. So thank you for your incredible support. Thank you for all that you've done to make this event possible, because it wouldn't be a possibility without you. And Rob, thank you. Do we not have a magical MC? Isn't he the best? So God bless you all. Enjoy the games and have a great time.
Thanks, Catherine. And honestly, you all, there's been, anytime you put on a world-class competition, over 40 nations, over 200 athletes, and we're dealing with weather. You know, so the last few days, it was touch and go. Whoever thought that the warmest place in America was not Sarasota, Florida? Now, I would like to introduce some other dignitaries before we go right into the event. We've got some very special folks in the audience. We have some members of the International Olympic Committee, and how this works in the Olympic world. Think of the sports. If you follow the NFL, so each the Cowboys, the Redskins, each team, the NFL is over top of that. So we have all these Olympic committees, and the NFL in our world is the International Olympic Committee. And we have some very special individuals here today. The chairperson of the Athletes Commission, representing all athletes on earth, Claudia Bokel. From Germany. Olympic champion, by the way. And we also have Patrick Ballman from, there he is up there. He's in the high seats. Patrick is in charge of basketball. So if you have any problem with LeBron, you talk to Patrick. And now the next person is a very, very special guest. This gentleman is in charge of all sports on the Olympic program, summer and winter games. All the way from New Zealand, Kit McConnell. And now I'd like to introduce you to the president of this whole shooting match, President Dr. Klaus Schormann from Germany, president of Pentathlon Worldwide. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's ready to start the show. So let's see how we got here. You're going to see athletes ranked from 36 all the way up to first. We're going to start at 36, but how did you get to 36? Let's roll this morning's video. What did we miss this morning? In today's swimming event, you had Amro El-Jaziri, who is the Olympic champion in this event, take it out, do extraordinarily well. But I do have to say in the semifinal that Logan Story from the United States broke the world record. So we had an American, and he's a Florida boy. Okay. So Heather, let's talk about who we're looking at here.
Okay, so it's a pretty exciting morning, and the swim has changed things a little bit, but the fencing was led, and we ended up with equal winners, both with Amro El-Jaziri from Egypt coming out top, along with Russians Igor Pusharevsky. So those two we're going to see on the piste last of all this morning, and they're going to be seeing if they can add some bonus points to their scores from a very strong fence from those two favourites.
That's going to be an exciting day. So we're about ready to start the bonus round. Let's roll the bonus round video. Again, we're going to start with athlete number 36. He'll be competing against athlete number 35. Winner will stay up. Number 34 will come, and they will fence. Winner stays up. 33, all the way up the ladder to number 1. This was shot here in June in Sarasota, Florida. See, athlete 36 versus 35. In this case, 36 wins. In the example, fences 34. Athlete 33 then comes. And there you go, 32, 31, 30. And this is what you're going to watch. Again, these are the men's World Cup final bonus round. These athletes are competing for one touch over 45 seconds. And let's welcome our first two athletes, positions 36 and 35. In position 36 from Bulgaria, Dimitar Klastanov.
In position 35, representing Ukraine, Denis Pavlyuk.
This is épée fencing. Épée simply means sword in French. This is épée fencing. Again, it simply means sword in French. The entire body is target. They can hit each other anywhere on the body. The foot, the mask, the hand, anything counts. 45 seconds. We've got our distinguished group of referees. And we're ready to go. Bulgaria is looking for the green light. If he touches his opponent, hits his opponent, it will be a green.
And Denis Pavlyuk on the left for Ukraine is looking for the red light. So these two fencers finished 35th and 36th after this morning's round robin. So these athletes have already been fencing for a few hours this morning and swam the 200 meters, and now they're back for the bonus round here in front of you.
What an easy day, just a 200-meter swim and 35 matches this morning. Red light, so Ukraine gets the victory. And let's welcome our next athlete, all the way from Hungary, Robert Kaza. I got it. Ready? Thanks.
So it's Kaza on the right, looking for the green light. Pavlyuk on the left, looking for another red light. Each fight, the athletes have 45 seconds. You can see the clock in the middle there, counting down. If we do go to 0-0 on the clock, the athlete ranked higher will stay on.
All right.
And that is That's a red light. That means Ukraine. Dennis Pavlyuk takes the hit. We say goodbye to Robert Kazler of Hungary. And we get ready to welcome on our next athlete.
And our next athlete from south of the border, Ismael Hernandez Usanga from Mexico.
I got it. Ready? Fence.
Again, these athletes are benching for one touch anywhere on the body. And that one touch equals 1 second. I can tell you that 1 second is going to really matter at the end of the day here.
Yesterday, the biggest improvement we saw in the fencing bonus round, we saw one of the athletes win 4 of their fights and benefit with an extra 4 points to take forwards to the rest of the competition.
Out. I got it.
Now you can see Pavlyuk attacking there. He knows
Ready? Fence.
He knows that if the time runs out on the clock, he will be off the piece. So he's making sure not to let that happen.
Out.
And he takes it. That is Denis Pavlyuk of Ukraine. Stays on again. We say goodbye now to Ismael Hernandez from Mexico and get ready to welcome on our next athlete.
Let's all welcome from Italy, Paolo Petrone. Oh, I'm sorry. We missed one. Arthur Lanigan O'Keefe from Ireland. Nowhere near Italy.
So now we have a fight between athletes ranked 35th, Pavlyuk from Ukraine, against Lanigan O'Keefe, who is currently ranked 32nd after the fencing round this morning. Lanigan O'Keefe looking for the green light, Pavlyuk looking for the red.
I got it. Ready? Fence.
For Pavlyuk from Ukraine, this will be his 4th victory if he can pull it off. That's 4 seconds. That really matters. At a green light, we've got Ireland! Ireland in the green! And the Shamrocks today are rolling. He takes down Denis Pavlyuk from Ukraine. And now let's welcome from Italy, Paolo Petrone.
I got it. Ready? Fence.
So Paolo Petrone for Italy on the left, looking for that red light. Arthur Lanigan O'Keefe for Ireland, looking for the green.
And it's an Irish green again. Oh yeah.
So that means we say goodbye to Petrone from Italy and we get ready to welcome our next athlete.
From Poland, we've got Sebastian Staszak.
I got it. Ready? Fence.
And he does it again, it's Irish green. A 3rd victory for Ireland. It's a good day for the Irish. And we welcome our next athlete from France.
We have Valentin Ballot. Now can the Frenchman knock off the Irish?
On guard. Ready, fence.
We've got left-handed Valentin Ballot on the left against Arthur Lanigan O'Keefe on the right. He's looking for another green light.
Double touch. Ladies and gentlemen, when both hip fencers are hit at exactly the same moment, it's a double hit and it does not count. I know.
On guard. Ready, fence.
And we got a red light for France. Takes down the Irish. Takes down the Fighting Irish. Big hand for Lanigan O'Keefe.
Okay, so we say goodbye to Lanigan O'Keefe and we welcome our next athlete. Rob, I think we're going to expect a big round of applause for our next athlete on the beast.
Oh yeah. From the United States, we have from the United States Army, Sergeant Dennis Bowser.
guard. Ready, fence.
So Dennis Bowser on the right looking for the green light, as I expect most of the crowd are. Also, oh, and what a shame. There we go. Congratulations,
All right. France takes Dennis down. Oh wait, and guys, a big round of applause for Dennis. He just got engaged. Happy guy.
Okay, so we say goodbye to Dennis, but we welcome now an athlete from Great Britain, Joseph Evans! Now, Rob, I think it was lucky we didn't end up with Great Britain against USA. It could have been a battle of the mics and a battle on the beast.
Okay. Ready? Fence.
So Evans looking to disrupt below. He's got 2 victories already. Can he get another? Oh yes! And that is a green light for Evans from Great Britain, knocking off Valentin Ballot. We say goodbye to the French athlete. And we get ready to welcome another athlete, also from France.
I tell you, the French keep on coming. The next athlete, also from France, Christopher Pat. Christopher Pat from France.
So again, we have France on the left, wanting the red. Great Britain on the right, looking for the green.
I got. Ready? Fence. Out.
And it goes to France. Christophe Pat takes the victory. We say goodbye to Joseph Evans from Great Britain. And we get ready to welcome our next athlete onto the piste.
South of the border, we've got Alvaro Sandoval from Mexico.
Okay, so Mexico on the right, going for green. And then France on the left, looking for red.
I got. Ready, fence.
Again, 45 seconds and one touch. That's all they're looking for. "30 seconds to go."
Now Sandoval from Mexico has the advantage if we go to 0 time.
20 seconds.
He'll be keeping an eye on the clock.
They're waiting, they're waiting.
Christophe Pat from France will have to do something
And we're
soon.
at 10.
If he doesn't move soon, he's going to lose the point.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So
And
the
he just left it too late. So unfortunately, we're going to say goodbye to Christophe Pat from France. Alvaro Sandoval from Mexico takes the point, and he stays on the piste, ready to fight his next opponent. So who we got next, Rob?
next up, representing the Czech Republic, we have Jan Kuk. The Czech Republic, home of the Olympic champion from the London 2012 Olympic Games.
Now these guys have already fenced 35 rounds this morning, so these rounds that you're seeing here, they had a minute to fence each other, so that took a few hours, and then they had a 200-meter swim, and now they're coming back ready to fence again.
"30 seconds.
So this time, Sandoval from Mexico can't rest there. He won't get the point
Double touch.
unless he attacks, and there we go. That was proof of that.
Okay. 20 seconds.
Now Kuf just turning his back on Sandoval, so the referee calling halt. These athletes are conscious of the clock.
10 seconds, and it's a green light! We're rocking for Mexico! He's got the victory!
So that means we say goodbye to Kuf, but we get ready to welcome another athlete from France. Please welcome Simon Cass. Now we're not like used to seeing quite so many of the French athletes this far down after the fencing rankings. I think they might have a few points to prove and trying to get some bonus points here on the bonus round.
Oh yeah, they want to prove that this morning is not a common thing. But you got to love the style, love those French uniforms.
So now we've got athlete 23, Simon Cass from France on the left, Alvaro Sandoval from Mexico, 25th after the fence this morning.
Mexico on the right looking for the green light, France for the red. Very careful, it's only one touch, no mistakes. 30 seconds. And it's another green light from Mexico!
So it just isn't the day for France, so we say goodbye to Simon Cass.
And we're gonna bring up, from all the way from Kazakhstan, Vladislav Sukharev! We've got all 40 nations flags up there. Kazakhstan's the blue one with the sun.
You can see the athletes tape on their masks. That's just to protect their eyes from the sun here. We're lucky to have some nice Florida sunshine, but can sometimes get a little bit in the way when you're fencing wearing a mask.
Oh yeah, Mexico on the right, still looking for that green light, keep the roll going, and Kazakhstan trying to stop him. On the left for that red light. And he does it again, Mexico! He sets it up and he takes him down. That brings up our next athlete from the other direction, south, south, south. We've got Yasser Hefni from Egypt.
And now we have Sandoval, who was ranked 25th after the fencing round this morning, up against Yasser Hefni from Egypt, who is ranked 21st. So the Mexican, having won 4 fights in a row, can he make it 5?
Again, you're seeing this for the first time. This is the first bonus round ever done at the World Cup level. Prepared for everything. That's an all-weather strip. It's tented. And it does it! Egypt over Mexico! Stopped Mexico!
And a big round of applause to Alvaro Sandoval. Won those 5 victories. And now we move on. It will be on to Yasser Hefni's next opponent. Please welcome from Hungary,
Gergely Demeter!
So Gergely Demeter ranked 20th after this morning's fence, representing Hungary on our right. Yasser Hefni ranked 21st, representing Egypt on the left.
Again, this was created for the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. This bonus round, it's a great format. But Rio that time of year, it could have rain, so that's why they put the tent up. To be prepared, show what we can do. And it's an Egyptian victory!
So that's 2 victories for Yasser Hefni. We get ready to welcome on his next opponent.
From Poland, Michał Gralewski. We are now in the top 20 athletes. Again, this is a real exciting format. We're glad you all have the opportunity to watch it. And for the United States, we're proud it's debuting here in Sarasota, Florida.
Hefni looking for his 3rd victory. Gralewski looking for his 1st.
Poland on the right, looking for the green light. Hefni from Egypt, looking for the red. Some of the athletes have their national emblems on their masks. 20 seconds. Down to 10. And Hefni does it again, Egypt! That's going to bring up our next athlete from way south of the border. We have...
From Chile, Esteban Bustos!
Esteban Bustos from Chile, currently ranked 18th after this morning's fence. We're in the top half here. There are 36 athletes competing. We're at the midpoint of the fencing round, of the fencing bonus round today, here at Nathan Benderson Park. Chile on the right, looking for the green light. Egypt looking for that red.
Can Hefney make it 4 in a row?
Each touch is 1 second. That's a big 1 second. Bustos from Chile, very, very fast. "20 seconds. And Bustos from Chile takes down Hefney from Egypt.
A big round of applause for Hefney. Those 3 victories, couldn't quite make it 4. But now we get ready to welcome our next athlete from Italy, Fabio Podige.
All right. Fabio Podige from Italy, ranked number 17 after this morning. Gonna see if he can stop Mr. Bustos from Chile.
So these athletes now, the top 18, really have put themselves in contention after this morning's fence. For the rest of the day, with still the riding and the combined event to go.
Once you're ranked this high, you still have a shot at the podium, and he does it! Is that it? Oh yeah. Fabio Podige from Italy takes down Bustos from Chile.
So we say goodbye to Chile, and we get ready to welcome Ukraine, Vladislav Mishenko.
Vladislav Mishenko from Ukraine, a perennial favorite. Ukrainian athletes are always very good fencers.
So Mishenko ranked 16th after this morning's fencing rounds. Podige ranked 17th, so these fencers in theory should be very close.
And yesterday we had an athlete ranked 15th go all the way to 4th place in the women's event, in the women's final. Ukraine on the right looking for the green light. Italy on the left for the red. The athletes spend the time, they try to set the other one up. They're looking for the right rhythm, looking for the right timing.
And these athletes will remember their fight from this morning.
Very true, they know each other.
It's their chance to get revenge. Whoever lost the fight this morning, they might well be thinking this is their chance to get victory.
10 seconds. Four, three, two, one, and he does it! With 1 second to go, Mishenko from Ukraine. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. What a great match.
So that's goodbye to Italy's Podige. We get ready to welcome another athlete from Egypt.
Eslam Hamad. Mishenko from Ukraine on that touch was calm, cool, and collected. Waited till the last second. Very well done.
It'll be interesting to see if he's quite as calm this time, because he will be on the attacking foot. He can't let the time tick down quite as much.
Oh, he does it! He went the other direction. The first 2 seconds. Mishenko from Ukraine is keeping it going. And let's welcome our next athlete, who is last year's ranked world #1, Heather.
It is from Lithuania, Justinas Kinderis.
Justinas Kinderas, ranked number 14, one of the great combined athletes of the sport. He is in great position to come home, end up on the podium today.
So Kinderas won World Championships 2 years ago, won the relay at the World Championships last year, and as you said, former number 1.
"30 seconds. "20. And Kinderas takes it! Justinas Kinderas from Lithuania. And some really cool green Lithuanian type shoes there.
So that's goodbye to Ukraine's Mishenko. 2 victories. Didn't quite get the 3rd.
And now we're going to welcome, all the way from Great Britain, it's yours, Heather.
Please give a big round of applause for Joseph Chung.
Joseph Chung ranked number 13 after this morning's round. Trying to move up the ladder. Justinas Kinderas is here to stop him. So it'll be Great Britain on the right looking for the green light. There you go. And Kinderas from Lithuania looking for that red.
So this really is a very experienced athlete on the left with a very young up-and-coming British athlete on the right.
You've got a great veteran on the left in Justinas Kinderas. And like Heather said, a top-ranked rising star on the right from Great Britain.
And these athletes were ranked 13th and 14th before the fence. They have already swam, and Joseph Chung had a very strong swim, moved up through the rankings.
10
already.
seconds. Double touch. Again, that means nada. 5, 4, 3. Ooh. 2 seconds remaining.
This is when it's tense. Kinderas knows he has to attack. He has 2 seconds. If we go to time, Chung takes the point.
Yeah! Okay, I'm sure you're wondering what happened. Okay, so what you saw there was Chung from Great Britain is on the back line with 2 seconds remaining. Kinderas from Lithuania pushes him back. When Chung steps across the back line, it's as if there's a touch score. That's why he took the victory.
Okay, so we've
Pushed him off
said
the back.
goodbye to Joseph Chung, but now we get ready to welcome from Russia, Maxim Kustov. So I think that last round just was showing a little bit of experience over an athlete who will have learned his lesson. He won't make that mistake again.
Maxim Kustov from Russia, ranked number 12 after this morning's round robin fence.
Up against Kinderas from Lithuania, ranked 14th after the fencing.
All right. These are both great fencers, ladies and gentlemen. This should be a very good bout.
Right? Ale.
Seconds.
Both fencers very active. 20.
Oh!
Our hold was called just before the red light came on then.
After the contact.
See frustration.
Right? Ale.
Frustration on Kinderas' face. He thought he had that hit just a little bit too slow, getting the contact.
4, 3, 2, 1.
That was time. So that means we say goodbye to Justin Iskanderis.
Maxim Kustov is the victor. And he won because he was a higher-ranked fencer. And we're going to welcome our next athlete.
It is from Ukraine, Pavlo Timoshenko.
We've got some very talented referees here today, too. The gentleman directing this bout was America's greatest fencer, Seth Kelsey, 4th in London.
So Timoshenko of Ukraine on the left, Maxim Kustov, Russia on the right. Now Timoshenko won a silver medal at the World Cup final, hosted here in Sarasota last year. We'll be looking to add some more medals in the success in this part of the world. It goes to Timoshenko from Ukraine. He gets the point.
Stopping Maxim Kustov. Let's welcome our next fencer, all the way from Kazakhstan.
It is Pavel Ilyashenko. So Timoshenko on the left from Ukraine, ranked 11th after this morning's fencing, ranked 4th in the world at the moment. He is fencing. Pavel Ilyashenko from Kazakhstan, ranked 10th after this morning's fence.
So Ilyashenko. Kazakhstan on the right, looking for the green light. And he doesn't get it. It's Ukraine! Timoshenko takes the victory. That's going to bring up one of the great athletes of this sport. From Russia.
It is Ilya Frolov! So we have 11th ranked Pavlo Timoshenko from Ukraine after the fence against 9th ranked Ilya Frolov of Russia.
We're inside the top 10, ladies and gentlemen. Very exciting stuff. Frolov from Russia, world champion. Won everything you can win. Russia looking for the green light. And it's a Russian touch. Nope.
It was a double, Rob. You
sorry.
missed the red light.
Well,
We had
I am
to.
50 years old.
Don't worry, that's what you've got me here for. You're okay.
Thanks, Heather.
That's okay, Rob. Anytime. So Frolov just taking a little bit of injury time a moment. I think he might have got caught on his funny bone.
Not funny to him.
He's not seeing the funny side.
Not funny to him. Again, these are two really great athletes. This does happen from time to time. But Ilya Frolov here taking the injury break is one of the outstanding athletes of the sport. A true veteran, champion. Gives him a few extra seconds. And let's give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen. He's back.
So actually, these two athletes we've got ranked 3rd and 4th in the world. This really is the top of the modern pentathlon men's athletes we've got on the stage today.
Russia on the right looking for that green light. There's feints to the feet. There's everything out here. And it's a Russian touch. Single green light.
You're right that time, Rob. Well done. And well done to Frolov. He stays as we say goodbye to Timoshenko.
And we're going to introduce from south of the border again, all the way from Guatemala.
It is Charles Fernandez.
Charles Fernandez from Guatemala is one of the younger athletes in the field today. He's up against Ilya Frolov, one of the true veterans of the sport.
So these athletes ranked 9th and 8th after this morning's fence. They are certainly in contention for the medals, and I think we need to most certainly watch Ilya Frolov on our right. He'll move up in that combined event for certain.
Frolov, absolutely one of the great combined athletes. And we're inside 30 seconds. Frolov knows he has to control the bout. At 20.
Now Charles Fernandez had an awesome fence this morning, finishing 8th for him, a young athlete on the senior circuit, and he'll be very happy with that result.
10 seconds.
And he's making it difficult for
5,
Frolov.
4, Russia gets the green light. Ilya Frolov, the veteran, keeps it going. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring up one of Heather's favorites, all the way from Great Britain.
It is Jamie Cook. So we've seen quite a battle this morning already happen. Those of you who were at the swimming pool will have seen Jamie Cook battling it out with Amr Al-Jazeeri. It was pretty close, but Jamie getting valuable points to add to his great fence from this morning. So Jamie Cook ranked 7th after the fence. Ilya Frolov ranked 9th after the fence.
So you've got Russia on the right, Great Britain on the left. Russia looking for the green light, Great Britain the red.
I'm looking for the red. So we saw Great Britain on the podium twice yesterday. Samantha Murray winning the gold and Kate French the bronze. Can we have another GB athlete on the podium at the end of today?
30 seconds.
And he gets
Jamie
it!
Cook from Great Britain stops the veteran Ilya Frolov from Russia.
So a big round of applause as we say goodbye to Ilya Frolov from Russia and get ready to welcome our next athlete from the Ukraine. It is Dmytro Kapelansky. So we really are into the top class fencers now. Kapelansky ranked 6th after this morning's battles. Jamie Cook ranked 7th. You can see Jamie Cook just getting a little word of encouragement from his coach in the stands.
7 athletes to go in this morning's bonus round.
So both these athletes got a lot of points, very valuable points in the fence. This is their chance just to add to those slightly.
1 touch, 1 second. 30 seconds. Green light, all right, Ukraine. Kapelansky from Ukraine stops Jamie Cook from Great Britain.
So a big round of applause as we say goodbye to Jamie Cook.
And we say hello
to Germany's Matthias Santen. So again, it's a Europe, Ukraine against Germany.
The athletes touch each other's blades. They make sure that the circuit is grounded. That's what that's for. As they prepare to go to the on-guard lines. Ukraine on the right. Ukraine on the right, Germany on the left. Ukraine looking for the green light, Germany the red.
Now these athletes ranked 5th and 6th have really put themselves in contention for medals at the end of today.
And it's a green. We've got Ukraine. He keeps it going. Dmitry Kopolansky keeps it going.
So that means, again, we're going to have a battle between Ukraine and Russia as we welcome our next athlete,
Igor Puchkarevsky.
Now you can see these athletes chatting. They know each other very well. Geographically neighbours, but off-the-piste friends.
That's the power of sport, the friendships that are developed in these international competitions. Ukraine on the right. Ukraine on the right, looking for the green light. Puchkarevsky from Russia on the left, that red.
And it goes to the left, Puchkarevsky of Russia. We say goodbye to Dmitry Kopolansky. We get ready to welcome our next athlete.
From the other side of the world, we've got from China, Jianli Guo. We've got we're into the top 4 fencers now. Only 4 fencers remaining, 4 athletes.
So it is on our right, Jianli Guo from China, wanting the green light. On our left from Russia, Igor Puchkarevsky, looking for the red.
Oh, a toe touch! Awesome! Guo from China scores on the foot.
So goodbye to Puchkarevsky from Russia. Hello to Belarus.
Roman Pinchuk! Roman Pinchuk from Belarus.
Now Roman Pinchuk is ranked 2nd, but actually came equal 1st overall this morning in the fencing. He scored 23 victories out of 35 fights this morning. Can he add one more victory to that?
These are outstanding fencers. Again, we're into our top 3 athletes. Belarus looking for the red light, China the green.
That's 30 seconds
And
on.
the green, China! Whoa! Keeps it going!
So goodbye to Roman Pinchuk, who equaled top of the fencing as we welcome his... Okay, go on, Rob, you want to do it? Who are we welcoming?
We're welcoming the current leader, the Olympic champion from the swimming event as well, Amro El-Jaziri from Egypt.
Now earlier we saw Amro come top of the fencing, equal with Roman Pinchuk, but also top of the swimming.
Great athletes here, El-Jaziri and Guo. What a great final match. Last match of the bonus round. It's El-Jaziri from Egypt! Amro El-Jaziri keeps it going! What a day for the Egyptian! Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the bonus round. That concludes a little bit of Olympic history. We're going to be, the riding course is now open, athletes. The riding course is now open. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move a few things around. The riding will start in about a half an hour. You've got all sorts of things going on here. Take a look around, get something to eat, something to drink, and join us back here in a half an hour.
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the riding part of World Cup 1, the men's final. I'm Heather Fowl from Great Britain, and I'm joined by Logan Story from the USA team. We're very lucky to have him here today. Broke the world record just 2 days ago in the men's semi-final, but didn't quite make it into the final. But anyway, we are underway with the first rider in the ring. We've got Dimitar Krastanov from Bulgaria. What can you tell me about Dimitar, Logan?
Don't know a lot about Dimitar, but it seems he's off to a very rough start. Him and his horse are not cooperating already. Seems to be bouncing over some of these jumps.
Yeah, we saw, so Dimitar's on Cindy Lou. We saw Cindy Lou go yesterday with the girls. And these horses are all quite small, aren't they?
Yes, one of the issues we were talking about yesterday was we were going to see how the men were going to ride on these horses because they're fairly small, and we know the men are going to be a little larger than the women. So we'll see how many knockdowns we have today.
Yeah, you can see again, he's holding the horse very tight, but got the leg on, and sometimes it's just not comfortable. Getting very left behind coming through the treble here and pulling the horse in the mouth. That's not nice to watch. Oh my gosh. I think, yeah, the crowd are giving applause as he clears the fences, but we're not getting any prizes for style or comfort on this round. And took that final fence there, so completed the course. That's Dimitar Krastanov from Bulgaria on Cindy Lou.
Unofficial time on course, 1 minute and 12 seconds. 9 seconds.
And a few time penalties.
4 knockdowns. Each knockdown is worth 7 points.
So he was 9 seconds over the time. And there gets a score of 263 riding points. Not the best start for the men's event here.
Definitely not. Hopefully we can see some other men clean up their rides a little bit and make it a little more smooth going through the competition.
So some of these athletes, especially at the lower end of the ride draw as they're coming in now, will be at the bottom of the competition after the fencing and swimming we've had. So there's some of the athletes who maybe aren't so used to getting into a final. But anyway, here we are on to athlete number 35 after the fence and swim. It is Denis Pavlyuk from Ukraine. So he's riding Sultano Conejo. Don't think we saw this horse yesterday. I don't know if you remember, Logan, if we saw Sultano.
I don't believe so.
Don't
I think
recognize him.
We used him last year in the World Cup final, but yesterday we do have some new horses for today because I think they can handle the men more than the women.
Yeah, so we see already this. The men do tend to ride quite a bit faster than the women. And I think here the biggest problems we're going to have are just from going too fast through some of the combinations. Definitely not going to have any time faults if he carries on at this rate. But flew through the treble. And you can hear that massive round of applause from the crowd. We've got a packed out crowd here, and they are absolutely loving the entertainment today. And I think he took a stride out from that related distance from 10 to 11. And cleared number 12. So yeah, that was incredibly fast, 52 seconds. The riders here are allowed to actually take 1 minute and 3 seconds, and that's all they need to do to get the full 300 points. So Denis Pavlyuk there, well under the time, but didn't take any poles, so you should be happy with that. So that's our first 2 riders in, 1 clear already, and we didn't see many clears yesterday.
No, yesterday we had probably an average of 2 knockdowns on each ride, so we'll see how the men hold up. Most of these athletes starting out are pretty far down going into combined, so it's going to cost them if they have any knockdowns. They really need to be riding clean to have any chance of moving up here today.
Exactly, well said, Logan. These athletes aren't really in contention unless the riders later on have real problems. Oh, we've got a bit of a problem coming on here. This is Robert Kaza from Hungary. He's just had a double horn. Now, I presume that just still means to start. He was trying to salute, but didn't quite get into the salute box.
Robert Kaza is one of the better pentathletes here. He's from Hungary, and he had a disappointing fencing starting out today with only 12 victories. Normally he's, say, a top 5 athlete here, so
Yeah,
we'll see if he can have a good ride.
Not used to seeing him in the first part of the riding draw, that's for certain. He's riding Iron Stone and clear so far up to fence 5. But the horse just putting his head up, resisting Robert trying to control him slightly, and it's more relaxed when he's actually going over the fences. But a sharp turn back into fence number 7 as he comes into the treble of fence 8. The horse seems to be jumping to the left, but he corrected it well and managed to keep him straight through there. And still clear so far, 3 fences, including the double to go. And took a stride out. They seem to be riding forwards, these men, today. There's no hanging around. And I think you can tell by the crowd. And Robert just putting his hands in the air there. Obviously very happy with that. Well inside the time and no pole. So that will give him a full maximum 300 riding points. Probably a little bit too late, don't you think?
Yeah, he's minute 18 down going into combined, so that's a little too much to make up for Robert, but at least he had a clean ride.
So, well, Logan, I'll let you talk about our next rider coming into the arena.
All right, Dennis Boucher is one of the Americans here today. He's in the World Class Athlete program. He's a soldier athlete. He grew up in Texas. Although he's from Texas, he didn't have a riding background. He actually started riding the same time he did pentathlon about 10 years ago.
Okay, so 10 years of pentathlon riding experience. We should expect to see a fairly tidy round, do you think?
I would say so. I think, maybe have a knockdown or two, but I think he's a fairly competent rider, and I think it's going to be a good day for him.
I mean, yesterday we saw a brilliant finish for the women's USA with Margaret Isaacson taking the silver medal in the women's final. But Dennis is the only hope that USA have today in the men's.
That's right. I missed out to make the final, so hopefully Dennis can move up some places in the ride and then the combined for the US.
He's certainly got a lot of work to do. I mean, he is down in 33rd place after the first 2 events, and unless a miracle happens, I think you might have to just take the medal that you got in the women's event yesterday.
Fair enough.
Well, I'm not putting the USA down. I'm just saying, miracles can happen, but he's in 34th place at this stage of the competition. But a solid start for Dennis.
Seems to have a slower horse, but he's in control going into each jump.
Yeah, this is looking nice and tidy so far. Quite a bit steadier, as you said, than the first 3 rounds we've seen.
I don't know if it's just an American or not, but the crowd seems to be very quiet right now, intently watching on Dennis.
It's quite nice. We can hear ourselves speak for a moment. You really could hear a pin drop. A little bit of breeze down here next to the rowing lake. But the sun is shining. A little bit of crowd noise there as Dennis got in a bit close to the first part of the treble, but corrected it nicely and the crowd applaud. And he has just got the final 3 fences all on the left rein now until he clears that final fence 12 nicely through the double. Oh, got in close to fence 11, but the horse picked up for him. 1 fence left to go. And a little bit untidy, but he did the business. And he cleared fence 12.
We'll see here what his time was. It looked like it may have been a little slow, but other than that, it was a clean ride.
1 minute, 8 seconds, 1 knockdown.
Oh, so he is just 5 seconds over the time. A little bit frustrating.
85 pentathlon points for Sergeant Dennis Boucher.
But that gives him a score of 288, as you can see, and
288.
still better than having a knockdown, but just those few time penalties, which a tidy round and nice to watch, and really nice for the home crowd to see a good ride by the American athlete there.
From France, we have Valentin Belleau.
So next we're going to welcome our French athlete, Valentin Belleau. Now, we've just mentioned Robert Kaza from Hungary. He was down in 34th place. Now, I mean, I don't know as much about the men as you, Logan, but you wouldn't really expect to see Valentin Belleau of France in 32nd.
No, definitely.
After the fence and
definitely
swim.
not. He usually is a very strong fencer. Today it shows that he only scored 15 victories. Now I know he's one of the fastest runners. The French and the Italian typically are. So I don't know if he had a bad swim day or just maybe not putting it all together today, but we'll see if he can run up a couple places and have a clean ride.
I mean, this part of the season, some of the athletes will just be coming here to test out some skills they've been working on over the winter, see how their fitness training has gone. A lot of athletes won't have peaked for this early in the season. So I'm sure they'll be just taking home the learning points that they can take from doing a final at a senior level World Cup.
This is true. I know a lot of the athletes have had training camps overseas or even in the U.S. We had a training camp right before this World Cup, so a lot of athletes could be at a lot higher volumes in swimming and running, which could make them a little more fatigued in these competitions.
Yeah, and it's been a tough day. I mean, these athletes have already, nicely through the treble there for Valentin Below. These athletes have already had a round robin of fencing, so they've done 35 fencing fights. They've swam 200-meter freestyle race and completed this brand new bonus system, which hopefully just the pole down there at 11, which hopefully you saw a few hours before this. And yeah, just a little bit unlucky there at the end, got a bit sloppy.
Yeah, he'd been doing so well, but lost 2 poles there towards the end.
So 2 poles, and we wait to hear what the time was for Valentin Below of France. He was riding Reeve. And there we go, 286 points. And now we're going to welcome one of his teammates. So, France are a team that we've seen win team medals at World Championships. We've seen dominate the men's senior field, and as we just mentioned, it's really not the right time for France here in America.
Yeah, I would agree. The Hungarians and the French seem to have started a little behind today, and they're going to have to make a lot up, but these guys are typically top 10 finishers, so it's odd to see them so far down the list.
It could make for an exciting sort of second half of the field. I think will change quite a lot, because you would usually expect to see them already starting with the top combiners, but they're going to be probably making up quite a few places.
Right, you could see these guys possibly make up as many as 10 places if they really push this run.
I mean, yesterday we saw Donata Rimzaiti from Russia move up from 15th place up to 4th, which was an incredible run for her.
Amazing.
Especially thank our owners, all the volunteered horses for today.
So as you can see from our pictures here, the sun is shining and it's much warmer today. Yesterday we were surprisingly still a bit chilly, even with the gorgeous sunshine, but today it's a matter of athletes actually sheltering from this wonderful Florida sunshine we've got. And a lovely setting here. But here we've got now France, Christopher Pat, and he's riding César. He's had the starter hooter, and he's coming in on the right rein to the fence number 1. A bit left behind there, and he's got to gather himself. Collected a little bit better and smoother over 2. Now,
Down on 3.
I think he just slightly started to anticipate the turn a little bit too much there on 3. The horse took it with his front and back legs. And, we saw a long stride into fence number 5.
This horse is really starting to pick it up here, it seems, in between these jumps now as they spread out.
He's certainly getting a little bit more speed, as long as he can control that speed at the later parts of the course.
Now the horse that Pate is riding today is Czar, and that's actually one of the U.S. athletes' horse from Orlando. It's Alex Guzman's horse.
Wow, that's really interesting. So he's one of the pentathlon athletes that has his own horse? Is that what,
yes,
when you
that's
say
correct.
athlete, you don't mean a rider? Okay. Well, that was, I think, just the 1 pole. We'll wait to get the results confirmed for Christopher Pat from France. And he got a total of 286. That was the second pole that went as well. So nothing spectacular, but a relatively smooth ride for Christopher Pat riding César. So just tell me, Logan, a little bit about where the horses have come from that they're using here today.
Most of the horses are from the Sarasota-Bradenton area, but there are a number of horses who have come over from Ocala and Orlando as well. Some of them, they're definitely smaller horses, almost they're pony clubbers, but they seem to be doing better than yesterday already today.
Yeah, so far we're off to a fairly good start. We're now onto athlete ranked 30th after the fence and the swim we already had this morning. It is Hungary again, as we said, not a great day for them. We've got Gergely Demeter riding bombed again. That's a bit of an ominous name.
That's it's too bad. Hopefully the horse doesn't bomb again today.
Well, we didn't see him bomb yesterday, so we can't really tell you what's going to happen. So that was the starter hooter. 30 seconds for the athletes to get to the starter gates, which are just in front of fence number 1 there. Not a great start. Took the pole on fence 1, but managed to collect himself for the next 2. And it's a sharp left-hand turn into fence 4 as they head back towards the collecting area. This horse looks a little bit uncomfortable behind, but it might have just been the sharp corner it had to take there. It's slightly downhill over fence number 6, and they actually finish. If you're thinking that fence looks familiar, it is the same fence that they finish on, coming back the other direction for fence 12, so it's good use of the tight arena that we've got here. And a round of applause from the crowd as nicely through fence 8, the treble. Oh, and just got in a little bit wrong to the double, but well recovered. And again, close into 11, but the jumps are very small in comparison to the full height, but unlucky. Back legs took the top rail off fence 12. So how do you think, what were you expecting of Gergely Demeter overall today? What are his strong points?
Well, I'm not really familiar with Demeter. I know his older brother, Vince, is usually on the Senior World Cups circuit, but I'm not sure if maybe he's injury, staying at home, so his brother's in, but he's fairly new to the senior circuit.
Okay, so probably here just getting in the final is great experience for the young athletes. And for the men, how many athletes did we have in the semi-finals, Logan? How many were you competing with?
There were 102 total men in the semi-finals.
Now that's a strong competition.
Definitely.
So those of you watching, just so you know, we have 36 places into the final. So that's pretty much just a third of all the athletes that competed in the semi-final 2 days ago. The top third we have here competing today. And as we go through the ride, we'll get higher up the rankings and we'll get the higher qualified athletes coming in and showing us hopefully how to do it.
Yeah, the men's competition was so tight, we saw a handful of senior level athletes who didn't even qualify for the final today.
Well, one very controversial one, didn't we? We had the world number 1 from Russia who didn't actually make it into the final. So that just goes to show how tough this World Cup series is going to be this year.
You have to be on top of your game, that's for sure.
So now we are just waiting for the next athlete from Italy, Piapello Petroni, who's going to be riding Anthem. Now the athletes have 20 minutes in which to warm up. So the horses are drawn out of the hat. The lead athlete after the swimming and the fencing competition takes the draw, and the rest of the riders are calculated and matched up with the horse that the computer does on the system, to try and save time and make this day nice and compact, not just for the athletes but also for spectators. And the riders then have their allocated time when they get on for the warm-up, and that is 20 minutes before they're due to enter the riding arena. And within that 20 minutes, they can do pretty much whatever they like, as in the exercises with the horse. The idea is to try and get to know the horse well, learn how it responds to you, learn if it has any certain preferences on directions to go, and you get 5 practice fences. So, I mean, Logan, you've learned to ride for pentathlon, am I right in saying?
Yes.
So how do you go about your warm up, and what's your approach to the riding?
Usually I walk around the arena a couple times, and you do your trots and your canters in both directions. You do a couple circles, and then you get to do your jumps. And 5 jumps is more than enough to get comfortable with any horse, I would say. And I wouldn't say that I've ever taken all 5 of mine. Usually 3 is enough to see how the horse is going to react and how we're going to go over the jumps.
It's interesting you say that, and it's quite often when I'm speaking to actual riders, people who go to the top level with their own horse, and they're always amazed at how pentathletes can get on a horse just 20 minutes before, you have just those 5 practice fences, or sometimes even less, as you say, and go and jump a decent show jumping course. And I think it's because we've got so used to it, and especially for you, that's what you've been brought up to do. And in some ways, it can be an advantage having just ridden pentathlon horses. You're used to just getting on something completely different, and dealing with what you have in front of you. And if you've come from being fortunate background of having your own horse for many years, it can be quite challenging suddenly getting on something different and having to connect with it that quickly.
Yeah, you make a great point. I think I do have an advantage that I'm not a rider, so I'm not on the horse all day. It's not your own horse, so you don't always know it, but that's what I'm used to. You have an unfamiliar horse and you're given 20 minutes to, you can't really tell the horse what to do. It's more, what does the horse like to do, and then you have to change your style for that horse.
So now we've got our next athlete into the arena, Paolo Petroni from Italy, and he's riding Anthem. Saluted to the judges, and they just check their information and give the starter horn and give the athlete 30 seconds to get to the start, but the clock still doesn't start until they approach that first fence. So underway now, clear over the first 2. He's riding with a very short rein, but not interfering with the horse, which is nice to see. The men often don't realise quite how strong they are when it comes to riding, so they've got to be even more sensitive than the girls in order not to affect the horse's mouth, to let the horse flow and let the horse feel relaxed over the jumps, and that's what stops the horse from taking the poles down. Just rattled fence 5 there down the hill, but it stayed in its cups.
That might have been, he looks like he lost his right rein going in, and he had to reach down and grab it before going into that.
Yeah, just unlucky coming back up the hill there. Did take fence number 7. Touched the middle part of the treble, but it stayed. Down over fence 9, and again landed with his back feet on 9, but it bounced back into the cups. Oh, lazy on the front feet. A little bit too fast, I think. He just kind of got a little bit close to the second part of the double and paid for it, but those 2 poles clear other than that. So score of 286. No problem with the time there for Petroni of Italy. So yeah, we're definitely seeing a bit of a theme here with the men compared to the women yesterday, I think. And they're just, sometimes you can call it flowing, sometimes you can just call it a little bit too much speed, but there's definitely a faster rhythm happening today.
Yeah, I'd agree. Everyone's going a little faster, which isn't always the best. Like we said, you don't get judged on your time so much. You can't go over time, but there's no need to go faster than the time allowed. As long as you're jumping clean, you should be good to go.
So we're moving up through the rankings, and we're up to 28th. These are the points and the rankings that have been accumulated after this morning's fence and swim, and the new bonus round that we had just before the ride, which hopefully you got to see.
We'd like to welcome
But we are just about to have our first Polish athlete into the riding today, and it is Sebastian Stasiak on Norrie. So Logan, if you do have any interesting facts or info on any of these athletes as we go through, do share with us. I know you're relatively new to the senior circuit, but it's always good to have an athlete's perspective, as now I'm a retired one. So just we're just talking about how they've been fast and flowing, and this is completely the opposite. Wow, we just saw an approach there by Stasiak in a trot to the first fence. No wonder he didn't manage to clear that. His jumps are small, but they're not that small, and you cannot afford to be trotting on this course. So he's going to be racking up the time penalties. Already had a refusal as well, and it doesn't look like it's happening for Stasiak riding Norrie today.
Yeah, Sebastian, this is the first time I've ever competed against him, but I mean, he's one of the younger athletes here in the final today. We have 4 athletes who are only 19 years old, so they're still in the junior division, but competing at the senior level.
Well, it's a great opportunity for them to get to experience senior competition, but I don't really think that Stasiak is maybe quite ready for this level of riding yet. I mean, we're about to be eliminated here. It is 4 refusals. That's the 4th one. 4 refusals, and the bell should be rung. Yep, that's the hooter. So, sad to say that we're going to say goodbye to Poland's Sebastian Stasiak after his 4 refusals. He has been asked to leave the arena. Now these rules were really brought in recently. That there used to be 5 or 6 refusal rule, and they've now actually brought it to 4, which I personally think is about right. He scored 0 on the ride after that, and if you can't get if your horse stops at 4 fences, then something's not right. Either the horse isn't comfortable or your riding standards are just not good enough for the competition. And you know, it's, I think, where we should be with the sport now. We don't want to see stop after stop. It becomes a little bit silly. So he's going to have to go home and work on his riding, I think.
Yeah, so one of the interesting things today is Nori is a horse that we're actually going to see later, and it's actually going to be by his teammate, another Polish folks. So we'll see now if it was a rider or maybe a horse problem. If his teammate can get the horse to jump over the course and canter, then maybe it was a young, inexperienced rider. But if the horse has the same problem, then maybe it was just a bad day, bad draw for that horse.
That's very interesting. So we'll keep an eye out for Nori later. And you do get the advantage sometimes if you're riding your teammate's horse, you get the inside knowledge, bit of feedback from them on what to do, and it just all helps with making the most of that 20 minutes you've got in your warm-up. So now we have our next rider into the arena. It is Esmael Hernandez from Mexico, who's riding Entire Otto. And good to see a canter approach to the first fence. Let's hope we get a little bit further this time. But could still do with a lot more energy. I think we've jinxed them slightly, saying all the men are riding more forwards.
Oh, not looking good. Very slow into the jump 3 and a little behind on the horse.
Yeah, he's quite upright. Doesn't really fold so well over the fences here, but they're starting to find a rhythm as approaching fence 6 down the hill towards the rowing lake. You can see it in the background on some of the camera shots. It's that sharp turn back towards the arena, the collecting arena where they came from, and now the treble, fence 8. It's important to keep nice and straight through this treble. And back into a little bit of trot. Oh my gosh. Not what we're expecting to see at this level of competition, but kept his leg on enough to get away with it and get out the other side. A nice one stride between the double at 10, clear over 11 and back up the hill towards the final fence and clear over that. Now, I mean, I think we're going to have time faults. But
no, right on.
Actually, that is bang on the time. So, according to the points and the timing system, that is what you would call a perfect ride. I'm not going to quite agree with the fact it was an exactly perfect ride. Far from it, but horse and rider safely round and no penalties at all. So 300 points for Hernandez from Mexico. And we're staying south of the border. We're here in Florida, but we're going further south to Chile. As our next rider comes in, it is Esteban Bustos, and he's going to be riding Houston.
Bustos is one of the quickest fencers I've ever seen. He's a very small athlete, but he's very quick on the strip, and as well as running is one of his best events, one of the top combined athletes here in pentathlon.
So starters Houghton, let's hope we can get a bit more of a rhythm on this round. We've had, just after Logan and I talking about how speedy the men are, they seem to have just slowed down a notch or two and could do with turning it up a gear, I think. So let's hope we get a bit more of a flowing round here as Esteban Bustos starts off riding Houston. We saw Houston ridden yesterday and he was not an easy horse. He needs to get going a bit, took fence 2 down and fence 3, but there's just not enough momentum. Now, fence 4 is a spread, which I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a back rail, and you cannot afford to trot into a fence like that. And yeah, he did not have enough forward momentum going into that, took the pole down. So that's already 3 poles taken, I think, by Houston. We saw Houston ridden by the British girls, Freya Prentice and Joanna Muir yesterday, and both of them had their work cut out. They had to ride this horse very strongly. He wasn't making it easy, and interestingly he hung left and he's doing it again now. He's hanging to the left of the treble. He's got to keep him in, otherwise he's going to end up in problems, but just, that was very close to the wing.
I'm surprised this horse did not bail out on that third and the triple there.
Yeah, just let out a little bit of wind over fence number 9 down the hill. The crowd commenting on that. right, and now it's just the final fence up the hill. If he keeps the canter, he should be okay. But, oh, just lost that energy. There's not enough energy in that round. And look at that, straight back into trot before he's hardly got through the finish line. So we really need a bit more energy from these guys again.
Definitely. I don't know if you guys saw it. So he had a total of 4 knockdowns. On jump 4, he had 2 poles go down, but in pentathlon, whether you knock down 1 pole or 4, it still only counts for 1. Looks like his total riding score is 254 points.
So
that'll hurt him a little bit. He's not going to be moving up. That'll probably move him down even further, actually.
yeah, not a good ride at all. But now we're waiting for our first Czech athlete. And we're going to welcome into the arena in just a moment Jan Kuf, who's riding Elegant. And I remember Elegant from yesterday because I remember us commenting that Elegant did not produce an elegant round at all.
No, it was not the prettiest thing I've ever seen.
And if I remember correctly, it finished with the Russian athlete toppling off and finding herself the other side of the saddle as the saddle went round on his back and just after the finish. So let's hope today that Jan Kuf has tightened his girth properly.
Jan is one of the younger athletes here from the Czech. He actually got second at the World Championships this last year in Poland. He's a great all-around athlete, so let's see how he rides today.
A nice
Seems
start.
to be picking up a little bit faster than the rest of the guys today.
As long as it doesn't let it get any faster, it started smoothly. Down the hill over fence 6. There's always a sharp turn here it's a slight slope, this riding arena. It might look flat from the camera angle, but actually the side towards the lake is lower than where we're sat just by the treble here as they come through. Fence number 8. And you can hear from the crowd that middle pole went down. Oh, and very lucky on fence 9. Touched it twice, the top pole, but it stayed. So far, just the 1 pole. Letting it flow was a long stride from there, but the horse took it nicely. And a nice round. That's the first smoothest round we've seen in quite a while.
It was. His horse seemed to be running a little fast. 55 seconds here was his time, so that's the second fastest rider today, but he seemed like he was in control the whole time. It was a very nice ride.
Yeah, it really was. It was just one of those that's quite enjoyable to watch and maybe slightly easier to commentate on at the same time. All right, next we have Arthur Lanigan O'Keefe from Ireland, and he's riding Grafton.
Arthur has been doing pentathlon for a while now. I got to meet him this last month. He was in Colorado Springs for our international training camp where we had about 40 athletes. He's quite the character. Great fencer, great all-around pentathlete. He started out today with a little hiccup in the fencing. wasn't his best day, so he's been playing catch up the whole day, but he has fun with it, and I hope he does well.
Well, he's already caught up quite a bit. I mean, he's currently in 24th position, but we saw after the fence, I think he was quite a way down. He was 32nd after the fence, so a really strong swim from Arthur moved him up into 24th. He came 9th in the swim overall with a time of 2 minutes 2 seconds. Now the time's not quite as fast today in the final as we saw. Well, I am sat with the current swimming pentathlon world record holder, Logan Story, who broke Jamie Cook's record that stood for about a year and a half, I think. So
since 2012.
Oh, okay, there you go. So not that Logan had his eye on that record. But yeah, no times close to that in the final, Logan. I don't know if you were watching with bated breath.
I was. I was expecting a little bit faster. I figured between Amro and Jamie, who battled it out almost every competition, I figured they would be going 156, 157. But watching every heat, it seemed like they were just swimming to get the event over with, and everyone seemed about the same place. Most of the guys were between 2 minutes and 2:06, which is very close considering most competitions.
So Arthur just having a bit of a wobble into the first fence, but corrected it. Just touched pole 3, but yesterday it seemed to be wedged into its cups, and maybe it is again now. Well, this horse looks quite nice and reactive. And Arthur trying to keep it under control, whilst keeping the energy and keeping the horse moving forwards, which is what we've lacked for a few of the rounds that we've seen. So far this is looking good. Oh, there we go, just fence 7, took it down with his front legs. Plenty fast enough through the treble, but the horse picked up and cleared it for him. Oh my, and just got the strike completely wrong on fence 9. Took off from much too far away and didn't give the horse enough in the mouth, so he just couldn't take his back legs over it. But now the poles seem to be falling rather fast. Okay, clear over 12. I think Arthur will be a bit frustrated with that, Ryan, because riding is one of his strong disciplines, and I know it's certainly a discipline that he enjoys to do, coming from a pony club background. But a score of 279, so maybe not Arthur's day. Still all good learning and still a young athlete with a lot of his career ahead of him. So that was Grafton we saw, ridden by Arthur Lanigan O'Keefe. So now, the next in the arena we should see will be Vladislav Zukarev from Kazakhstan, riding Stretch. Now, we did comment yesterday that quite a few of the horses weren't that big, so part of the reason for the jumps being a little bit smaller today, but also we've got a lovely venue here. I mean, we've got an international rowing lake where they're hosting the Rowing World Championships in a couple of years' time. But as a result of that, we don't actually have that much space for the riding, so we're using one of the fences twice. That's fence 6 and 12, but also it means that the jumps just can't, not so much space between them. Still very technical and a challenging course, but just that bit smaller than what we might expect to see at a World Cup in a final of this level.
Now, Vladislav is another one of our young athletes here. He's only 19 years old. I'm not sure of his riding background, but he was also in Colorado Springs for our training camp.
So it is Vladislav Zukarev from Kazakhstan riding Stretch. And we just wait as he's approaching the first fence. Back into picture. Took out the front part of fence 3. Clear over 4 and 5. And it's downhill, a right-hand turn to fence 6. Nicely over, and it's a sharp right-hand turn again, almost back on themselves as they head up the hill to fence 7. Sharp left. So considering there's a lot of turns in this course, it looks to be riding quite smoothly. The course has been nicely built, and they've made the most of the space available here.
Now, although Vladislav is currently in 23rd place, the next 12 athletes are only separated by about 12 seconds. Wow. So a knockdown here or a refusal could be big as far as moving up in 10 spots. I don't know that they'll move up far enough to get a medal, but they can move up to maybe a top 10 spot.
Yeah, oh, so it was just that one pole, 293 points and inside the time for Vladislav Zukarev. So we start looking now because the horses are all used twice. So we have the first round of the lower ranked athletes, and then the second round with the higher ranked athletes actually use the same horses. So if I just look down through our list, Stretch will be ridden by Great Britain's Joseph Chung, who's currently in 5th place. So Joseph Chung will have been watching that round closely and probably be feeling quite happy having seen that horse give a nice round.
Yeah, we saw yesterday most of the girls were taking down 2 rails, so if Joseph's watching and he's thinking maybe 1 rail, maybe not even all, maybe he can correct that mistake and ride clean. He could solidify a top 3 spot later today. Now Kinderis here, he's was world champion 2 years ago in Taiwan. Had a little disappointing fencing and swimming. I don't know if that's due to training camp, but you know, we're all just looking to sharpen up our skills on the first competition to the Road to Rio.
Yeah, so Justinas Kinderis in the arena now, and he is riding Tactical Maneuver. A very experienced athlete, as Logan mentioned, and actually won the mixed relay at the World Championships last year, won the individual at the World Championships the year before, so that just goes to prove he's a former world #1 and an athlete who has many, many medals to his name. So representing Lithuania, and it's very unusual to see Kinderis actually in the first round of the riding as well. Had one of those athletes who just didn't quite have it together in the fence this morning. But nicely through number 8, the treble. turning left and down the hill over 9. A little bit left behind there. Just didn't quite go with the horse. And you can just see it upset the combination there, but still clear through the double, and just fence 12 left to go as he turns the left-hand corner up the hill and clear over 12. Now I think we've got a rather large Lithuanian support crew here, because the crowd have just erupted at that clear round from Kinderis. I mean, a very likeable person. I don't know him to compete against, but Logan, you're one of the younger ones. He's a veteran. Do you know much about Kinderis?
He's a very modest guy. He's come out to Colorado a number of times, and I really enjoy fencing and running with him. He's a tremendous combined athlete, and he's one of the best fencers as well. Interesting fact that the horse, Tactical Maneuver, yesterday was the fastest horse with a time of 51 seconds, and Kinderis controlled the horse very nicely to have a 59-second time today.
Yeah, that was a nice round. Just a little bit left behind once or twice, but he did the job and inside the time. So now we are back down to Mexico. So we're up to athlete 21. That's ranked 21 after the fence and swim. It is Alvaro Sandoval from Mexico who's riding Monte Carlo. And an average start to the day for Sandoval. Where do you expect to see him? Nothing you're not so familiar with?
No, I've never competed with or seen Alvaro.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how he rides on Monte Carlo. Monte Carlo is another one of the horses we saw yesterday with the girls, and it's quite interesting how the horses can seem almost a completely different horse when ridden by the boys compared to the girls. There's a very different style that tends to come out.
I think the example, other than the men typically riding faster, is we haven't seen as many of the first rail being knocked down. The women, it seemed like they had a hard time getting started yesterday and would knock down the first one, which could set up poorly for the rest of their ride.
This is a good start, and this is just a nice, comfortable rhythm. Might need to keep moving just to make sure he's within the time, because he's taken a very large but flowing turn there into fence 7. This is very comfortable to watch. The horse looks very happy, actually. Nice looking horse, this one.
Beautiful. It's a lot bigger than the rest of the horses.
He is, isn't he? He's more of a horse than some of them.
Yes.
But just taking his time. I think he needs to get a move on just to make sure he's inside the time. It's lovely and smooth and get lots of points for style, but sadly that doesn't come into the final score in modern pentathlon riding. And a lovely clear round there for Alvaro Sandoval from Mexico on Monte Carlo. We're just going to wait to hear the time. Oh, and sadly, a few time penalties there, so he actually gets a score of 296, just 4 seconds over the time allowed. 6 seconds, sorry, over the time allowed. But pleasure to watch. Now, Logan, I'm going to just throw you in the deep end a little bit, because the sun is shining here and it's absolutely bearing down on our faces. And I'm going to run and get my cap, so if I can leave you in the reins, I'll be as quick as I can. But next we do have from Ukraine, Vladislav Mishenko.
Thank you, Heather. We have 2 more athletes in the bottom 18 here. Vladislav Mishenko from Ukraine is going to be riding Jet. Vladislav is also one of the younger athletes here. He's also 19, so he's a junior athlete. I'm not familiar with him myself, so I don't know how many senior competitions he has been at. We'll find out here shortly how he can ride. Currently, Vladislav is in 20th place, total of 1 minute behind the leader. See if he can make up some time here in the ride. Off to a rough start, knocking down the first pole. As we saw yesterday, typically if you knock down the first pole, you had 2 or 3. It's riding very smoothly into ride 6. Vladislav looking very comfortably coming into the triple right in front of myself. another knockdown on 9. And Vladislav had one more knockdown on the final jump. So it looks like he had a total of 3 knockdowns. We'll hear what the time is in a second. Vladislav was 56 seconds time total, so he was 7 seconds under. You don't get extra points, but that won't cost him anything. His total will be 279 points.
Okay, what if I missed, Logan?
We had 3 knockdowns from Vladislav. He started off a little rough. Knockdown on the first one, which we know typically doesn't start off well. But he rode fairly smooth, was never behind the horse.
Oh, that's good. So I haven't missed any real dramas. Now, as I mentioned, I did have to just run off and get my sun cap because the sun is beaming down on us here. We've got a lovely commentary position right next to the ride. And we can see the rowing lake glistening in the sunshine. It seems to be getting warmer day by day since I've been here.
Every day. The first day I was here, I think it was only 50 degrees, and today I saw at one point it was 77, and tomorrow looks like 81.
You're going to have to convert that to the rest of us who don't go with your Fahrenheit. Well, I think I would say that anyone from Great Britain, it's a lovely summer's day right now and a bit of a breeze just to keep us refreshed. Anyway, we are now the final rider of the first round. It is Pavlo Timoshenko from Ukraine riding Gorn to Carolina. So Pavlo Timoshenko ranked 19th. Again, another athlete that we would expect maybe to see higher up the rankings after the fence and swim. But it is all quite close today. I think the top 22 athletes at this stage are that fence 3 down. The top 22 athletes all within a minute of each other. So the riding can be quite influential today.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in Pavlo's fence today. I got the chance to actually be his fencing partner in Taiwan at the World Championships 2 years ago. But normally he's one of the top fencers, and today it just didn't show. We did get to see a little bit in the bonus round. Looks like we had a knockdown there on 7.
Yeah, you could see in the bonus round he did win quite a few of his fights and just prove that he probably shouldn't be quite so far down the rankings at this stage. And these poles are not staying up for Timoshenko. He's holding the horse very tight in the mouth and just not allowing it to stretch and relax over the spreads. And we saw that in fence 9. Lucky on 12, rattled it with his front legs. But sometimes what you see with the men, they're very strong as athletes, all their training, and sometimes need to be a little bit more sensitive with the horse. And there he had his leg on, keeping the horse moving nicely forwards. Had it under control, but you just have to make sure to relax when you go over the fence. And that was a bit costly there for Timoshenko, with a total of 279 in his ride.
Running at about 5:36 pace in the combined event. That's a mile in 5 minutes and 36 seconds.
So we now move on to the second half of the draw. So all the horses we're going to see now have already been, and we've got a little bit of info to see. Be interesting whether these athletes in the top half will ride any better than the athletes in the first half. They've got the advantage of having seen the horse they're about to ride go round the arena. They might have been able to speak to the athlete depending on whether they're friends, whether there is a language barrier or not. But I know as an athlete quite often I would obviously watch my horse go round if I was in the second round, but more importantly speak to the rider who rode it and just find out if there's anything quirky or anything they found difficult in the warm-up. And I can use that to my benefit, so I'm sure these athletes would have done the same.
And we have
So the first one into the arena for this second part of the draw, in 18th place, it is Egypt's Yasser Hefni.
Yasser is another athlete that's currently training and living in the U.S. Almost the whole Egyptian team is training in Colorado Springs with the U.S. team. So it's been nice to add bodies to our fencing regimen. Hefni is a great guy, one of the best fencers some days, and an honest athlete. He looks like he's off to a rough start, which is sad because I've seen some days he has, it's hit or miss with the ride. It's either all or none, it seems.
Well, saying that, he's still got those 30 seconds, and if he can get himself moving towards the first fence, he might be okay. So we're underway now. First 2 fences clear after that ropey start. But it was all before the timer had started, so maybe if he keeps the flow, keeps it moving forwards. Nicely corrected Cindy Lou. The horse he's riding helped him out, I think, a little bit coming into fence 4. Quite a scopy horse.
Yeah, Cindy Lou and Yasser are definitely fighting each other right now. There's just no connection.
And yeah, in close to that one, and I think he did take the front rail from where we can see. Now, 2 strides through the second part of the treble. I walked the course yesterday, and it's all a nice distance in the combinations. So it's 1 stride and this double coming up. And taken nicely in close, but recovered. But not recovered. There you go, see the actual fault happened later down the line at fence 11, taking that top pole. So I think that's 2 poles. We'll wait to see the time for Yasser Hefny.
He has not crossed the finish line.
He didn't actually cross the finish, so going to end up with some time penalties there.
1 minute and 13 seconds.
Yeah, no, that's going to be very frustrating. We've just heard that Yasser Hefny was 1 minute and 13, so 10 seconds of penalties. Not what he would have wanted, so a score of 276.
That's really too bad. I mean, these guys are all real close, the next 8 to 10 athletes, and Hefny is a great runner. I know he could have probably been a little closer to making that top 10 list, but it's going to be tough now with that extra time penalty, not crossing the finish line.
So those 10 seconds that he lost with time penalties, that equates exactly to 10 seconds in the run. So he's just put himself 10 seconds lower down the start list as we come into the combined. Very costly at this stage of the competition as it gets very close in the top half of the riding now. So now we've got one of our top athletes, and I think the highest world-ranked athlete in the competition is Ilya Frolov from Russia, riding Sultana Konecho. And Frolov's teammate, we actually saw surprisingly miss the final. Don't expect that to happen to these top-level Russian athletes, but it was a bit of a shock for Lisanne when he missed out. He's ranked #1 in the world and missed out on the final. It just proves how tough the standard of competition is here at this first World Cup of the season. But a good start for Frolov, for Russia, clear over the first 3 fences. And we saw the Russian women yesterday that they do tend to go for speed quite often, but so far this is looking controlled. And just at the halfway mark and going smoothly so far for Ilya Frolov. Very experienced pentathlete. I mean, you don't get to #2 ranked in the world without experience. But it did take a pole in the middle part of the treble. And like we said, here it's getting expensive. Any pole is very expensive for these athletes. Frolov, a very strong combined athlete.
It's amazing watching Frolov ride. You can tell his experience. He's riding very quietly. Definitely faster than most of the riders here, but he's just so gentle with his hands out in front.
It was a nice round to watch, well inside the time, 6 seconds inside the time. So that means he's only going to drop those 7 points with that 1 pole. So not a bad ride, as we haven't seen a clear for a while, and if it carries on like that, Frolov in 17th as it stands before the ride. Current standing 2nd, but we've still obviously got another 16 athletes left to go. So yeah, just the 16 left to go. And going before the ride, the top 16 are all within 53 seconds. So if you think 1 pole being knocked down equates to 7 seconds, 1 stop or run out equates to 10 seconds on the combined event. So it's expensive now, and these athletes are going to want to keep their feet off the poles. We're about to see into the arena from Ukraine, Dmitry Kapelansky, and he is riding Ironstone. We saw Ironstone earlier actually give a perfect clear to Robert Kaza. He had 300 points in the ride, so I expect Kapelansky will have been relieved to watch that round and know that he should expect nothing less than a full 300-point ride. But maybe not looking quite as secure or relaxed as some of the athletes coming into the arena. certainly Ironstone isn't looking tired after his round this morning. He looks fresh and well. Just having a little bit of a skip around as he first came in, but I think could get flowing, as all this horse wants to do is get on and jump, I think. So it seems to be the turns that just Ironstone, Kerpolansky's horse, just wants to have a little bit of a play around. So it's going to be quite important, this corner, top corner here, near the collecting arena, but survived that. And now it's back up towards fence 7, clearly over that, and down the treble where they've got to keep controlled. If you get too fast into treble, you'll end up taking, oh, there you go, just a little bit too quick maybe. Took that middle pole we've seen drop a few times and held on far too tight to the horse on fence 9. If he'd let it go, it would have cleared that fence quite comfortably, but took it with his back legs, so an expensive, another 7 points gone. But he leaves it, keeps the rest of them up. So that's 2 poles down for Kerpolansky. He'll be frustrated with that because we saw the horse Ironstone go clear with Robert Kaza and get the full 300 points. So actually a score of 286. Dropping the equivalent of 14 seconds in the run. That's expensive when you look at it like that, isn't it?
Definitely. 14 seconds is a lot to make up. You have 2 options. You can either run faster or shoot better. And typically when you run a little faster to catch somebody, it's going to make the shoot a little harder. So you like to try to keep that balance in the run, which is why the riding can be so important to keep your place. You don't ever want to drop further back.
And when you put it like that, then it makes that pole all the more frustrating. The little bit of effort to set your horse up right, to give with your reins, to clear the fence, it's expensive. But then you can also, and we saw quite a bit of with the girls, that some of the poles going down were purely just the wrong timing. It was just a little bit unlucky. I think with the men, the poles that have gone down on the whole have been quite fair, from my point of view.
I would agree. Yesterday it seemed like sometimes if the women were getting lazy sometimes, and the horse was almost running straight into the rails, where the men, it's the back legs that continue to clip down some of these poles.
So here we are with another athlete from Egypt. They've qualified 3 into the final. And it is Eslam Hamad riding MCN. But just the first pole down. Sorry, at fence 2. And we're actually off to Cairo in Egypt for the next World Cup. So these athletes will be looking forward to having a home competition. I mean, Logan, you've just experienced competing on home soil. And I mean, what does it mean to an athlete?
It's huge. I mean, the home crowd is definitely an advantage. You're used to everything, pretty much. I don't train in Florida per se, but you know, these Egyptian athletes love their country. They love hosting it there. It's great facilities.
Nicely through the treble there. And they're seeming to really gel here, Eslam Hamad and his horse MCN. And it's nice to see a good round, as his teammate earlier had a few problems with a couple of poles, but so far just the one. And it's going to stay that way. So time dependent, that's just the 1 pole, so 7 seconds lost. And 1 time penalty, a little bit frustrating. That's that 1 second to add, so score of 292 for Eslam Hamad. And that's going to keep him in the mix with that. And he was ranked 15th before that, but now we're actually into the top 14. And we have our next athlete, who is from Great Britain. It's Joseph Evans. And I mean, Joe did not have a great fence this morning. He was right down the rankings in the fence, finished 28th, but a very strong swim. I mean, the British boys that we're going to see, the next 3, including Joe, all of them in the last heat in the swim. And really great to see that the swim can make so much difference. So he's moved right up to 14th from 28th with just the 200-meter swim. That just proves how good these boys are in the pool at the moment. And he's put himself right into contention. 14th place and all to play for Joseph Evans from Great Britain, riding Reeve. And he will have watched Valentin Below on Reeve earlier, who was inside the time but just had the 2 poles down. And Joe Evans, very quiet rider usually, will be looking to improve on that score and see if he can get the elusive 300. Off to a good start. Riding very nicely, keeping his leg on when needed, but being soft with his hands. And we saw Joe actually compete in his first World Cup 2 years ago over in the States at Palm Springs. And he won a bronze medal in his very first senior World Cup, which was quite a debut to make. So he hasn't quite been back up to that form since, but today is a good chance to get well inside the top 10 if he keeps his head cool. Just unlucky with that first part of the treble. Horse took it with his back legs, but that's just the one pole at the moment. Touched fence 9, but got away with it. Yeah, he's brought it back together, just slowed it down slightly to collect the horse into the double. And touched again with the back legs, fence 11, but it stayed that time. Oh, and look at that. Yes, very careful. He might have 1 or 2 time faults. We'll wait and see. Okay, so he was inside the time. That just proves that if you ride carefully and collectedly, then you can just cut those corners and stay comfortably within the time. Am I talking too much about the Brits, Logan? You're sitting there looking, smiling. Have I got carried away watching a British athlete? I'm sorry.
No, it's fun to watch you talk about your teammates because I don't know any of them very well, and you guys take a lot of pride in the riding, and it was a very elegant ride today, and he was one of the few to get a 300. So congrats to Joseph.
Okay, so moving on up the order, we're into the top 13 athletes, and it's going to be Italy's Fabio Podigé. He's riding César. We saw César go with another one of the French athletes. Again, had 2 poles earlier with Christophe Pat. But this is the horse I think you mentioned earlier, Logan, that belongs to one of your teammates.
Is this César?
Yeah, we're on César. Well, we're waiting to see César come in with Fabio Podigé.
Yeah, César is owned by Alex Guzman from the United States. He lives in Orlando, so that was one of the horses that was brought over for this competition.
So do many of the Pentathlon team own their own horses within the US team?
I think maybe 2 or 3 athletes have horses, not ones that we all ride. Alex has his in Florida, and I know Grace Kittle has a couple horses of her own, and then the Saxon sisters also have horses in Arkansas.
Okay. As we were saying earlier, it doesn't necessarily benefit an athlete having their own horse. You know,
I would agree with you. I think that it might even hurt. Sometimes you have riders, I did Pony Club and I'm a really good rider, but it's a completely different game in pentathlon. It's not about how well you know your horse. It's how well you can handle any horse that you're given.
It really is, and we've seen, especially in Great Britain, we've got a very strong Pony Club contingent who come up through the ranks, do Pony Club to triathlon, and then come on to do modern pentathlon. And it's quite often you'll see a rider who's literally, been brought up with 1 horse or maybe 2, and they'll struggle initially. They've got the skills as riders, but it's a slightly different skill learning to adapt to a horse so quickly. And even speaking to the world-class event team, the world-class riders in Great Britain, and they take their hats off to the modern pentathlon riders. So these riders you're seeing here today, are doing an incredible job getting on a horse just 20 minutes beforehand. 5 fences is the maximum they're allowed to take in the practice arena, and then here they come into the arena to perform in front of actually quite a good crowd today. So it is Fabio Podigé from Italy riding César. And we haven't had a full 300 points for a little while. Not 300 points yet in this second round, so maybe Fabio can do it. Well, a clear start. Not the smoothest, but clear over the first 3 fences as he turns sharp left-handed back towards fence 4. The ox are there. Cleared that nicely. Nice long stride off 5, but the horse respected that and picked his feet up nicely. And you can hear the crowd sometimes give it away as to whether the pole was touched. Just brushed with the back legs. But clear so far, and now we are coming into fence 8, the treble, which actually hasn't really caused any problems. I thought when some of these riders getting a bit fast, we might see a few more problems in the treble, but smoothly through there for Podigé. Oh, and I think we couldn't quite see it, but you could hear the pole clunk onto the ground. That was the first part of the double. Just 1 fence to go, and didn't quite set the horse up for that final fence, Podigé there. And the horse just said, hang on, I can't pick my feet up from that direction, from that distance, and just, yeah, didn't bother. But that was a total of 2 poles for Fabio Podager from Italy and a score of 286. So still we're waiting for a clear round in this second round of riding.
So now if we were to see a second horse come up that we saw earlier today and it just had 4 or 5 knockdowns, maybe a refusal, or even get eliminated, what is an athlete allowed to do if they'd watched a horse do bad and they get in the warm-up arena and it doesn't want to jump?
It's a good point, and we might have seen that yesterday. We didn't actually find out, but you know, if one of the horses in the first round has a real nightmare, the athlete can go and ask for a reserve horse. And that's always a bit of a gamble because you haven't seen that horse, you haven't seen it go around. So sometimes I've ridden in the second round and seen my horse not go particularly well for the first rider, and you have to make that decision of whether it was the rider that was struggling or whether it really is just a horse that you'll struggle on as well. And it's quite a tough one to call, and especially in some countries when the horses they struggle to get a full 18 and the reserve horses are often the weaker ones. So I mean, I don't think we haven't seen it in the men's event. We didn't. One of the Japanese athlete yesterday never made it into the arena, and we don't know if the horse that was drawn for the next round was a reserve or the same horse, but we didn't hear about that one. But anyway, now we are back to the men's. We're into the top 12 now with Pavel Ilyashenko from Kazakhstan on Bombed Again. I love this name. He didn't bomb last time, so he can't really bomb again, I'd say. I mean, he had 2 poles we saw earlier when he was ridden by Demeter from Hungary, but that 1 pole already gone. So, standing off quite a bit at the fences. Looks like he needs quite a bit of leg, this horse. And Ilyashenko just trying to encourage him. He's got his hands very high, but clear over fence 6 as they do the sharp right-hand turn back on themselves up the hill towards 7. It's not looking smooth, and I think he's going to have to get moving to be within the time. Wow, and getting him very close. Needed that, but it was just unbalanced, the horse. So he just gave the horse a tap behind the leg with his crop, his riding crop. And you can see really kicking and working hard. So that another pole went down there, but this just looks really hard work. I mean, put in an extra stride in the double.
Knocked
this is
down
not
on
nice.
10B as he was holding back on the horse. Horse would have gone over, but just needed to be a little softer on his hands.
Yeah, so he's riding with his leg, but he's not giving with his hand. And he's got to go through the finish. Has he made it through the finish line?
Not
I think
yet.
just. But we're going to definitely have some time faults. That was not a smooth round there.
Very frustrating as a rider. Sometimes when you're not having the best ride or it's not connecting, athletes tend to tense up, which is the opposite thing you want to do. You really want to relax so that the horse feels comfortable so they can do their job.
So there I was hoping we might have got our first 300 of the second round, but no chance. A score of 261 for Ilyashenko, and it all sort of fell apart towards the end. But now we've got our highest placed French athletes so far. And it is Simon Cass riding Anthem, and he is in 11th position. So nothing spectacular this morning, but average enough that he's managed to creep himself just outside the top 10, and will be looking for a clear ride to see if he can put himself in contention before the start of the combined, where the French have got a very good reputation in the combined event. And we saw Anthem ridden earlier by Petroni, who had 2 poles down. So can Simon Cass from France make it our first clear of the second round? Sadly not. That's already a pole down. Fence number 2. And the boys seem to be taking a slightly more direct route, a more direct line from 1 to 2, but it has meant that fence 2 has gone down quite a lot. I think we've seen more of fence 2 down today than fence 1 compared to yesterday.
I would agree with that. And 3 has been staying, whereas yesterday 3 was getting knocked down.
It was, wasn't it? So it's interesting. The boys just taking slightly different lines to the girls, and maybe a slightly more direct line. They're not so worried about coming into the jump not as straight as maybe, but as long as you're set up for the one afterwards. And a good clonk on the third part of the treble, but it stayed. So just the one pole so far for Cass. Coming into the double. Plenty of speed, but collected in the middle and picked up. So just the final fence. Are we going to keep it on one pole? And yes, he does. Just the one pole down for Simon Cass from France, riding Anthem. And inside the time as well, so a score of 293 for the French athlete. And the way the riding's going so far, that could well see him move up a few points and a few places, important places at this stage of the competition.
Definitely. So next up we have Michael Gralewski from Poland, which will be interesting because he's riding Nori, who his teammate rode earlier and was eliminated after the 4 refusals. So we'll see if that was a rider or a horse error and if he comes out on that horse. Oh, and it sounds like he's on Harvey, which is a new horse. So it looks like he has chosen to take a reserve horse, which can be a gamble at times.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. This is the horse that we haven't seen go today in the men's. I think I do remember Harvey from yesterday, so he will have been round. Whether Michael Gralewski watched him yesterday is another matter. And even if he did, I doubt he'd remember every horse. Even when we're sat here watching every single one go round, I can't say I can remember each round individually. So he would have still had his 20 minutes to warm up and 5 practice fences. But just in a way, starting on a blank canvas. So, Michael Gralewski from Poland, but not off to a great start with looking pretty uncomfortable and taking fence 3 as well. So that's 2 poles already out of 3 fences.
I mentioned yesterday the Polish take a lot of pride in their riding. I know when we went over there, we went a couple weeks early for the World Championships this last season, and they're fairly good riders, and to see these knockdowns and the elimination is very disappointing, I'm sure, for the team.
Yeah, I mean, this is now really in the business end of the competition, and his competitors watching this will probably be thinking, wow, we've got more, more space, more room to play with. One less athlete to worry about. 2 poles so far, but the clock is ticking. He's not flowing, but that is another pole, so another 7 seconds just thrown away so easily. Can be so frustrating in the ride. How quickly you can drop down the rankings. So the final fence left to go. And that stays, so that's 3 poles down. I think we might see a few time faults here because he was just slow generally. It wasn't flowing. Yeah, so 6 time penalties to add to those 3 poles that he had down, and a score of 273. So that was costly, especially at this close stages. But now we are well inside the top 10. And we'll see an athlete who, well, I must admit, I wouldn't have expected to see having such a good day. I think that's probably the best way to describe it for the Guatemalan athlete, Charles Fernandez. He's just having one of those days when it all works.
He is. Charles is young. He's only 18, and he made the first finals at the World Championships in Poland this last season, and this is actually his first final at a World Cup. And like Heather said, he had 20 victories, and he swam a 2:06. He's having a fantastic day. He's in the top 10. He's a young athlete, and we'll see what he can do here on the ride.
And what an experience for him. I actually was out in Guatemala in the autumn for the Biathlon World Championships. Charles actually took part there, just part of their training. And Guatemala, they don't have a huge team and huge resources, but they've certainly got the enthusiasm to give pentathlon a very good shot, and it's absolutely brilliant for the country, but also for Charles to see him doing this well at the first World Cup of the season. But needs to keep the rhythm going because it's struggling a little bit there. It's very sticky into fence 3 and needs to get the horse moving a little bit more to keep this round, keep himself in contention in the competition. But clear so far. I'd like to see him keeping the canter, just dropping back into trot again. And the jumps are small, but you can't afford to do that for the time and also for the flow of the course. You need to keep that canter going. It's built with quite a few turns, but the rhythm is very important. Oh, and just see a little bit slow there and getting in an extra stride in the treble. I don't know how he got away with it, but that just proves it's just that bit too slow. He really needs to just give it a really good kick. And going to stretch and just made the second part of that double, but it's a little bit painful to watch.
This might be our 300 other than...
Oh, he's going to have time. He's going to. Look at that. I mean, very happy, and I'm so pleased for a young athlete to be in the top 10 and go round, and just the 3-time penalties. I mean, lucky springs to mind with some of those poles, because he just needed to give it a really good kick and get moving.
Very slow, very cautious ride. I love Charles. Definitely maybe inexperienced rider. Need to push the horse a little more, and he could have been that 300 today.
So close. But anyway, irrelevant of us wanting our 300 in the second round. I mean, most importantly, he's going to be right up there starting the combined. I mean, I think that will be a big challenge for him. How is he as a combined athlete?
He moved up a number of spots at the World Championships. A handful of spots, so I wouldn't count him out here yet.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. We're going to have a great race for you after this riding event, but still 8 riders left to go. And next into the arena is actually the winner of the fencing competition, well, equal winner along with Amr Al-Jazari. It is Belarus's Raman Pinchuk, and he is riding Houston. And we saw Houston have a little bit of a nightmare earlier. Scored just 254 with Esteban Bustos from Chile. So at this important stages, Raman Pinchuk is not decided to draw again. He's stuck with Houston. We saw Freya Prentice have her work cut out riding this horse yesterday. And this horse jumps very much to the left, especially through the treble part. And that's fence number 3 knocked down. Raman Pinchuk, a great fence this morning. Not such a strong swim, taking another pole. I mean, for him to be in 8th place after winning the fence, that just proves that you can't afford to be strong at one and very weak in another sport. You've really got to be an all-round athlete in this final of the World Cup 1 for the men's. It's a tough competition out there today. But still just on the 2 poles. And there he goes, trying to go to the left again, but well corrected, kept him straight through the last part of the treble. Oh, and they seem to get the stride wrong quite often on fence 9. He was just a little bit too far out and didn't have enough leg on to let the horse stretch over it. It's downhill, so they've got that to help them, but the rider's just holding on a bit too tight. So only 3 poles, but expensive poles.
1 minute and 5 seconds.
And 2 time penalties as well to add to those 3 poles. So expensive, and when I say expensive, it's close.
We're looking at 10 seconds from 8th to a top 4 finish right now, and with 3 poles, now you're adding 21 seconds to your time.
Yeah, 21 seconds. You can't afford to do that. I mean, that really is the difference. Could even be a difference between the winner and top 10. I mean, it could be that close at the end of this. So that's definitely given Raman Pinchuk a lot of work to do to well, be in contention of medals, which is probably what he was looking at after the start this morning with that great score in the fencing. But we're moving on up, and we're over to Germany. So we've got Germany's Matthias Santen, who's riding my favourite, Elegant. We saw Elegant go with Yankov, who just had the 1 pole. So that could be great. If Matthias Santen, he would have seen that round and think if he can just get 1 pole down or even clear, he's going to be right in the mix for the medals. So we've just had the results confirmed for Pinchuk. 277 points. So dropping 23 seconds from his potential maximum of 300 points, which all of these riders will want. So we've now just got 7 riders left of the whole riding competition. We're well on our way through this, past halfway on the second round. So we're seeing all these horses again. We saw them compete with the lower ranked athletes in the first round, and now these are the athletes who will be fighting for the medals in the combined event that will come very shortly after the ride. So 7 athletes to go into the arena now. Germany's Matthias Santen riding Elegant. Now, we didn't see the Germans on the podium yesterday. We saw Lena Schoeneborn in the top 6. She finished 5th with a strong combined, always a very consistent athlete. But we could maybe see one of the German boys make up for it and reach the podium. So a clear start over the first 2. I think Santen's quite a young athlete. I don't know much about him. Logan, have you competed with Matthias Santen?
No, he came out to Colorado Springs this last month. We had our training camp at altitude, and I got to fence with him a little bit and swim, but I'd never competed against him.
Well, he's obviously having a very good day to be up in the mix at this senior level.
22 victories in the fence is quite a feat to have.
Yeah, you're going to be starting from a good mark after that. And clear so far. Can we have it? This is a nice rhythm. And just touches that back rail, but it stays. It's getting a little bit long now. I mean, he's giving the horse plenty of room to move with his mouth, but it's just a bit fast. And the one fence left to go. And yes, he has done it. You can hear the crowd. You see him waving his arm, punching the air. And rightly deserved. What a nice round. Our first 300 points of the second round. That was easily inside the time. It just flowed. A couple of fences were a little bit, you know, slightly close. He clipped a couple of poles, but I think he deserved that 300.
Yes, you can see Matthias' excitement after he finishes, pumping his arm and hugging his horse as they worked simultaneously to complete the ride flawlessly.
So it says current standings #1. That basically means with the scores gone so far, we've still got 6 athletes to go. So with Matthias being in first at the moment, that means that the lowest place he could possibly start the combined will be 7th. And that's pretty much only going to happen if the next riders all go clear. So he'll be looking to see himself move up the leaderboard and start the combined not far off the medals, I expect, with that good 300-point ride. But we're back to the Russians. I expect to see the Russians at this end of the draw normally, or this end of the ride, showing their strength in depth. This country, we have Maxim Kustov riding Grafton. We saw Grafton go earlier with Arthur Lanigan O'Keefe from Ireland, who had the 3 poles down. And Kustov will be hoping to have learned from watching Arthur's round and not make quite as many mistakes. But having said that, it's not off to a good start. And I think to remember that Arthur had the first pole as well, so maybe it's already 2 poles. Not a good start for Maxim Kustov on Grafton. He's still got a lot of fences left to jump and getting rather fast. Coming up to fence #6 down the hill. He's not hanging about here. It's a typical Russian style. They don't hang about on the riding, so there won't be any time problems, but he has already got those 2 poles, dropping him down most probably below Matthias Santen, and another one already, pole. So he's
riding
not slowing
very aggressively.
Up. You want the aggression on the fencing piece, you don't want the aggression when it comes to the riding. And another one. Wow, this is very expensive. We haven't seen 4 poles down for a while, and the 5th.
This is going to cost him. He was only 30 seconds out from the leader and 10 seconds out from 3rd place, and that just knocked him out of it. That could take him out of medal contention for today.
But then someone like Matthias Santen from Germany will have watched that, and he would have just leapfrogged a place, and we can say goodbye to Maxim Kustov with that score, 272. A very costly 5 poles. Saw himself in 6th place before the ride, and he'll be starting the combined event much lower than that as we wait for the scores for the next 5 athletes. So we are now into the top 5 for the men's final here in Sarasota. The sun is shining, it's a great venue. They had a strong winds in the semi-finals. The weather was a bit of an issue, especially in the combined event and the shooting, but they're looking now. It's just a little bit of a breeze, lovely sunshine, perfect conditions for competing, really, and not bad conditions for commentating in, I'd say.
No, I can't complain. The sun's a little bright today, but it's beautiful out here in Sarasota, Florida.
So the next athlete, you might have to bear with me, Logan. We have another Team GB athlete about to enter the arena. It is Joseph Chung. Now, Joseph Chung is a very young athlete. We have a young up-and-coming men's team, but you can't really say up-and-coming when you see them in the top 5 at this stage in a World Cup. I mean, Joe Chung has a very strong swim, slightly overshadowed by Jamie Cook, but that's just meant that he's crept up into 5th place. A really good fence for this young athlete. It's his first year coming into the senior season properly. He competed at Senior Worlds last year, but very strong junior results, and he seems to be making that transition to senior level very smoothly, and just a great start to this Olympic qualifying season. So I don't know much about Joe's riding. I know he's now training full-time in Bath, and they have 1 or 2 riding lessons every week from top quality instructors, and those athletes who need to ride a little bit more, it's always made sure that it's a very important part, as we know, so we can see how costly the ride can really make or break an athlete's performance at this level. So just didn't ride that well, got in close, didn't ask the horse to take off, and sadly took that pole, which will be expensive. Now Logan, do feel free to talk. I don't have to have complete control over the British athletes.
I think this is great for Great Britain. You had 2 girls in the top 3 yesterday.
Oh my goodness. And that is just showing his inexperience there in the riding. That's really unfortunate. And again, we've got another saddle issue. And this is so expensive and so sad to see for Joseph Chung. I can hardly watch. I'm not quite sure what he's getting. He's just run off to the jump to do something and let go of his horse. I have no idea why he has just done that, but you might be able to see in the cameras now the bell has been rung. So I'm not quite sure what's happened. We can hear Joe asking the judging box why the bell has been rung. And this is devastating for the young athlete. I'm absolutely devastated here. He lost his balance over the fence number 9 going down the hill, and then the saddle went round.
Maybe you can explain to me. I'm not sure why he got eliminated. Normally if you fall off, as long as the time stops and you get back on the horse and you go. Is it because he touched the rail maybe that he was eliminated, or do you?
I really don't know. I'm lost on this one. And as you can see that he's completely lost. And this is just absolutely gutting. I mean, he's just got a 0 in the ride, having been in 5th. So this was an absolutely amazing opportunity for Joe to reach the podium. His first senior World Cup, being at this position. Just didn't tighten his girth enough. We saw this yesterday with one of the girls. She got away with it. It happened after the final fence.
End. It's devastating because that puts you 5 minutes behind going into combined. It's a
day over.
So hopefully we can get this explained as to why he was eliminated, because that is not normal.
So yeah, he just didn't react quick enough. I mean, by the time he'd fallen off to correct the saddle, he was going to have a lot of time penalties, but he could have still been potentially in contention for the top half of the score. But a round of applause now as a very devastated and incredibly frustrated Joseph Chung. I can see him there looking to Jan Barty, the performance director, and his arms wide open. What happened? What happened? I'm sure Jan will have some wise words to share with him, and they will put it down to very good learning. But what a missed opportunity. Really sad for Joseph Chung there, because he was, I mean, I'm not exactly sure of how good his combine is, but I know that he's a strong athlete and, had a real chance of fighting for the medals and also just supporting his teammate, Jamie Cook, who we'll see come into the arena later. Bit of a pause now as we work out what's going on. I think Joe's probably got a lot of frustration to go and vent. He's just going to thank his horse, which is always nice to see, but I mean, I'm feeling frustrated sat here watching. I can't imagine what this poor youngster is feeling right now. He just doesn't know what to say or what to do, I think. But it's interesting that we've seen a couple of saddles go around. I don't know, sometimes the owners aren't keen to have the girths on the saddles that tight, whether that was something that the owner had said, whether Joe hadn't checked his girth properly. I'm not sure if this is a privately owned horse or what the deal might be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the athletes to check that girth, which is just too bad. I'm still confused as to why he was eliminated. I heard over the loudspeaker, you are allowed to fall off twice before you're eliminated, and the time should stop while you get back on the horse. I don't know why they eliminated him. It's confusing to everybody here watching.
But it was slightly bizarre the way Joe seemed to go and put his crop down neatly by the fence and ready to get the horse whilst letting go of his horse. I mean, it's very hard to say when you're in that situation, you're in the arena, the pressure, you might just, logic might leave the brain. I think that might have been what happened to poor Joseph Chung from Great Britain. But it seems like everyone's not quite sure what's happening. The next rider isn't ready. We're waiting. But that was a 0-point ride for Joseph Chung. He was in 5th place after a strong fence and an incredible swim, and just such a waste, all that effort. These athletes have competed 2 days ago in the semi-final to get to this stage, to then get the opportunity to fight for it again. And a tough morning. They'd had 35 rounds, or they have had 35 rounds of fencing each one for 1 minute to one hit. And then they had a 200-meter swim, which saw the British athletes move right up through the rankings, including Joseph Chung. But then they came here to the riding arena, where we had the debut at the World Cup Series of the bonus fencing round. So they had to put their fencing kit back on again.
Now I'm wondering,
fence one more round. And then it was back into your riding kit, walk the riding course, and then come to perform in front of us, in front of this great crowd here on a Saturday. Many more people watching today. I think that's probably pretty much due to the fact that it is a Saturday. We had, one of the favourites, and definitely a home favourite, the USA's Margot Isaacson, competing yesterday. And a shame for her, really, she couldn't have this crowd to support her. She ended up winning a silver medal and a great performance at home. But she would have really loved to have the support that we've got today.
I agree. I mean, there are a number of people circling the entire arena, riding in the stands and through the combined, and it's sad that the women don't get the crowd that the men get. Maybe that's something that if you do a mixed relay first, the women are on Saturday and men are on Sunday, we can draw the crowds out for both days.
Yeah, so don't forget, tomorrow we do have the mixed relay, as Logan mentioned, and it will be back here. I don't know if I can grab Logan again, or if you're competing, Logan. Do I have you again tomorrow?
I'm not sure yet. It hasn't been decided, but typically our two best, one male and one female, will co-ride. So it should be Dennis Boucher and Margot Saxon. But no decisions have been made yet. So
can I provisionally put in my ticket to have you back here helping me tomorrow, please?
I'll see what I can get out of you.
Whether you get a better offer, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So not sure I'm going to take that.
So it's interesting. The next rider hasn't come out yet, and Joseph's rider Stretch is still being walked around close to the arena, and I imagine that Joseph is talking to technical delegates and some officials, trying to explain what happened, and maybe he can get, I don't know if they'll let him ride now or maybe at the end, but...
So we're just waiting to hear. Those of you who might have just joined us and wondering what on earth is going on, we are in the men's final of World Cup 1 in Sarasota. And we just had the British athlete Joseph Chung ride, and he was going clear until, he'd had the one pole, and he just cleared fence number 9. It was a little bit ropey as he headed down the hill and just lost his balance. It's a left-hand turn into 10, and he had his weight on the outside and just ended up slipping round and holding onto the horse's neck, and in a rather dramatic fashion found himself sort of hugging the neck and standing on the floor, and went to remount, realised that his saddle had actually gone all the way around, popped his crop down, as it seemed, by the fence 10, and bizarrely letting go of his horse, went to catch it, and then we had the judges ring the bell, which normally signifies elimination, and we had a big fat 0 on the scoreboard. So it's all a little bit confusing here, and we know no more than you, really, other than everyone's a bit confused. So as soon as we find out anything, we will share it with you. In the meantime, I think we might just sit back and enjoy the sunshine. Those of you watching at home in Great Britain, I hope you've got a little bit of sunshine, but probably not. Anyway, it looks like enough of me waffling. We are back in action. So we're moving on from Joseph Chung. We'll find out what happened there, but it is now into the top 4. So the athlete from China, Jianli Gao, riding tactical maneuver.
John Lee is ranked 13 in the world currently. He was first place at the Asian Championships, and he was second at the World Championships last year.
So an athlete who deserves to be up here and want to be respected. But that first fence is going again. So one expensive pole.
The riding will be very important for Zhang Li. He's one of the best combined athletes out here. So the more the poles he knocks down, the further back he's going to start. And it looks like he is taking one after another.
That's 3 already, down to 279, and that's only a maximum now. So if he goes clear inside the time, that's the best score he can actually achieve.
This is really too bad for him. He was dominating in the semifinals just the other day.
But having said that, we've really seen, I mean, the last rider, Joseph Chung, eliminated. The rider before that only scored 272. So if Zhang Li carries on and doesn't get any more poles, we could actually find him still in the same position he started the ride. Oh, but there we go.
There's another one.
He's just holding
And
that
another.
horse far too tight in the mouth. It just can't, and look at that.
6 total poles. That
Wow.
is just too many. That's
Okay, that really
unacceptable. He was just running through them.
And that was purely rider error. So he was riding tactical maneuver. And look at that. Tactical maneuver had a score of 300 earlier with Justin Escanderas. So as a pentathlete and coming from a riding background, it's frustrating to watch because I just want to tell him to loosen his hand and he'd go clear. What a lovely horse. But it does show that pentathlon does sort the riders from the non-riders. And Zhang Li Gao from China just labelled himself as not one of the best riders. Justin Escanderas, one of the very experienced athletes who rode the exact same horse earlier, didn't even have a time fault.
Now the next rider here is James Cook, and I wish I could talk about him, but actually I have one of her teammates right here who will tell you all about Jamie.
Are you just getting a few words in now, are you, Logan? Okay, I like it. I like your style. Right, you've handed it over to me. I'll take it then. So as Logan introduced, we have Great Britain's Jamie Cook, and having a great day. I mean, Jamie has struggled with his fence. It's always his nemesis, and he's changed coach. They've got a new, the men's team have got a new head coach, Marian, who was coaching the Guatemalan team, and we've stolen him, and he seems to be doing a pretty good job with the British boys. As we can see, we've got 3, and we had 3 in the second half of the draw. But Jamie currently in 3rd place, and Jamie's got a great combined when he can keep his head together and keep level. Just hope he can keep his head together for this ride because he's very capable. Just got left behind, got the stride a bit wrong on fence 2. But a good kick into 3. The horse reacted and stretched a little bit. So come on, Jamie. This is looking very quiet. He's being very sympathetic with his hands. He's on Monte Carlo, and we saw Monte Carlo go earlier and went clear with a few time faults. And I recognise this horse now. He's got that steady. We saw him earlier with Sandoval.
Yes.
And it's just a bit steady. But we'd rather steady. We'd rather... Jamie can afford a few time faults.
Time penalties are easier to make up than a 7-point for a knockdown right now.
Exactly. So picking up really nicely through that. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps watching this ride. Come on, Jamie. Just keep it moving. I'm really worried he's going to have a few time faults, but we can afford it as long as he keeps clear. So he just needs to keep it moving a bit more. It's very controlled, looks very pretty. And I think I said this for this horse earlier. So it's Monte Carlo, and we saw do exactly the same round with Sandoval from Mexico. It was really lovely to watch, and what a lovely round. And you can hear the crowd. Yes. Yes, Jamie. What a great... Oh, so just those few time penalties. 4 time penalties, but he can afford that. 296. What a brilliant round for Jamie Cook. He has just put himself right in the mix.
You wonder if his coaches, after watching the last 2 rides, just told him, it's more important to not have any knockdowns and take a little time, because he was very cautious, and he's right in medal contention. He's going to be top 3.
I mean, he's guaranteed to be top 3. Now we've still got 2 riders left to go, and Jamie didn't have a great season last year. The year before was his sort of breakthrough season. He won at the World Cup 4, and he got a bronze at the Europeans. But 2014 just wasn't really a year that happened for him. So let's hope that 2015 could be time for him to get back in the score of things.
Who's in charge of the scoring? Is it the guys up there?
Yeah, what happened? What have you been told?
I've been eliminated.
So we have 2 riders here left. Top Russian, 19 seconds back from Amro El Jaziri. The rider is Igor, and he'll be on Jet, who we've seen earlier today.
So just had a quick chat off the mic there with a very frustrated and a little bit flustered Joseph Chung. Just doesn't know what to do. He's trying to find the officials to speak to, so we're still none the wiser as he has no idea why he's been eliminated. And so we'll keep you updated on that when we do find out. But anyway, now we're into the top 2. Igor Pashurevsky from Russia on jet.
Make sure no horses around. We just.
And
knocking straight riding into number 3.
so I'm not sure I quite had. It's close at the top. And that's actually just put him below Jamie Cook already. So he can't afford any more poles. Jamie's moved up. And you can hear the crowd know this is important. This is getting to the crux of the competition. It's going to really decide some medals now. Just the one pole though. He's not let it fluster him. Sitting quite forwards. Just had to get the horse back on that corner. And there's another pole. And that's you can see, I shouldn't keep going back to Jamie. This is an open competition, but Jamie Cook is moving up the rankings as these poles go down. And just one more fence, and it goes as well. Gosh, that's 3 poles and expensive for Igor Pashurevsky of Russia. But he was inside the time. So we've seen so many poles go down in this second round that actually the positions would have changed, but those who've had the poles can still be in contention.
I think the top 6 people are still very close, and they were separated by seconds before the ride.
And now we're about to welcome into the arena one of the favourites. If the crowd know anything about Amro El Jaziri, they will give him a big cheer. He won the silver medal at World Championships last year, and it was a long time coming. Pretty much all of the athletes, all the coaches, all the followers of Pentathlon were so happy to see Amro win that silver. He's one of the most likeable people and an athlete who's been around competing for years. Such a lovely person and such a talented fencer. And that just proved with him equaling the top score in the fence and then won the swim as well. So, wonder we're seeing Amro at the top, but he needs a good ride because combined is his nemesis. The combined event is the part that Amro struggles on.
Yeah, and I'd like to congratulate Amro. He just recently got engaged to Isabella Saxon, one of my teammates out in Colorado Springs.
What's in the water in America at the moment? I hear that Dennis Bauscher oh, here we go. There's a pole for Amro.
There's a knockdown on 3.
So we've got Dennis Bauscher recently engaged, Isabel Isaacson recently engaged. Oh.
And that's 2 on 5.
Amro getting out of control here. I think that's just, go on.
I'm going to have to take the blame for that because I proposed to my fiance about 5 months ago, and then I think that just the domino effect in the U.S.
As well. Gosh, you've set the ball rolling.
Apparently. He's just racing through.
Yeah,
He's
this
a little out of control.
It is. He just needs to bring it back on this corner, and now very lucky there.
Now Amro started 19 seconds ahead into this ride, but with those 2 knockdowns, he's only 5 seconds. 5 seconds ahead as I watch him come into this last jump here.
Oh.
And a knockdown. So now it is going to be very close with these top 3 guys. So that just brought everyone back into it. It's going to be a competition going into this combined.
Now that concludes our riding here, and it's going to be a really exciting combined event final. Logan, very quickly, who have you got your money on for taking the gold medal today?
I'm going to have to say Jamie Cook. I think he can do it.
Wow. Can Great Britain do a double? We won gold medal with Samantha Murray yesterday, bronze for Kate French. And sadly, we've seen Joseph Chung out of the orders, but Jamie Cook is still left in the mix and might well be starting in the lead, but we'll wait and come back to you at the combined event.
Yeah, I wish all the athletes good luck today.
So stay tuned and we'll be back in a
Pentathlon Village to sign autographs and answer questions. So we have a young athlete.
Here we are for the start of the men's combined for the final competition.
And that's the countdown, and we are away here in Sarasota. It is the men's final, the combined event. Amro El Jaziri had a storming fence and swim. Actually won the fence and won the swim.
Amazing. He struggled a little bit on the riding and has cut his lead down to 4 seconds. I think he went in with 21, a nice cushy lead, and is down to 4 seconds.
Well, those poles that he had in the riding, he was just too fast, and it would have been very costly for him. I mean, we saw Amro win the silver medal at World Champs last year, and that was an amazing sort of breakthrough for him. But look at that, he's already out of the shooting range. I was just about to say that Amro really struggles sometimes with the shooting.
Right, he can, but it looks like his first round is pretty clear, and he's off, still maintaining his lead, hoping to stretch that out on Jamie.
But then saying that, Jamie's off the range, and I think he cleared his target just as quickly as Amro. Jamie is the faster runner of those two, but we're going to have to see what comes up from behind in the field.
So Amro will be running scared down here, coming down the home stretch, knowing that he's been in hot pursuit of the fierce British.
And we've actually got a lot of, it's quite a mix-up today. The usual that we'd see at the top half have actually had really bad fence this morning. So it's quite a new sort of selection at the top few. Other than Amro, Jamie Cook from Great Britain, he's still fairly young. Matthias Sanden from Germany had a storming competition, and he set off in third in the combined. And I spoke to him just before. He was saying that, I asked him what his limiting factor was, and he said it's me and my head. So he knows what he's got to do. He's talking about the tunnel and having the tunnel vision, and he'll be one to watch.
Isn't that the truth? And it's going to be interesting to see which athletes here can keep their head in the game and not let the pressure take them over, especially in the shoot is where it usually comes out at the end of the day. If,
it is. It's been a very long day for these athletes, and I mean, Matthias Sanden, it's his first senior competition in 2 years, his first World Cup. So for him, I mean, to start off in third, you could look at it a lot of pressure, but also it's a great opportunity for him.
Absolutely. There looks like there's a lot of young guys on the field making their debut on the international stage. It's great to see them making the big leap from juniors.
We can see the back markers there on the shooting range, and that's Joseph Chung making his debut at World Cup. Sadly, down in 36th, but he could have been in 5th. Just messed up his riding if you were watching earlier.
Unfortunate for him, but I guess great for the rest of the field, who's not going to have the Brits take 1-3 again.
Well, I mean, after yesterday winning and coming third and salvaging USA in the middle, but today we're relying on Jamie Cook to see if he can bring home the medal, and preferably the gold one.
And here they come around, as you can see on the screen. Amro Al-Jaziri still in the lead by about 3 or 4 seconds, being hotly pursued by James Cook.
So that is 1 lap down. They've just passed through the start line. They've got 4 laps in total, so 3 left to go. 3 more shoots, 3 more runs. But Amro Al-Jaziri and Jamie Cook have got a substantial lead, but Russia moved up to third. It is Igor Pechkareski from Russia who's overtaken the German and is now in third place.
And here they come in for their second round of shooting to see who can knock down those 5 targets. They've got 50 seconds. The fastest in the world is somewhere around 7 seconds.
The record is held by a Mexican with 7 seconds for all 5 shots. I doubt we'll see that now, but Jamie Cook has got a clear target. He's overtaken Amro, and Amro is stuck. He's on that final shot, and there he goes, but he's just lost a lot of seconds.
Wow, that's how fast things can change in pentathlon, from first to second in 1 round of shooting. We'll see what the rest of the field is going to do, if anyone's able to move up and put any pressure on the bronze medalist.
Well, I think Amro's going to put himself in a pressured situation now, because he's a good runner, but he's not an exceptional runner. And it's the shoot that he needs to have that gap. He needs to know that he's not got people breathing down his neck, and he's now down to silver, and it's a matter of can he hold on to the medals.
And can he pull it together to hold on for the 3rd round of shooting, which is typically, I think, the hardest round. People get complacent in their first 2. The last one is easy because you know it's your final one. You've got just 1 to go, but the 3rd one is tough. So he's running scared, and the pressure is definitely on him as he's lost the lead.
It is, and we can see Amro in the shot now, down the back straight along by the rowing lake. Looks very picturesque. You wouldn't think we're in the middle of a World Cup competition here, but actually the athletes won't be worrying about that right now.
It's been a beautiful place to have a competition. Luckily, the wind has died down at the rowing facility here in Florida.
And saying that, it's very lucky for the shooting, because I think the wind was the event that it was affecting the most. I wasn't here for the semi-finals, but I gather that it was causing quite a lot of problems.
The shooting, everybody had troubles in the semi-final because of the 20-mile-an-hour gusts and the freezing cold temperatures, which is hard to keep your muscles warm at that time. Additionally, everybody was having their lasers checked spontaneously, and a lot of athletes were struggling with new lasers put on their guns right before the semifinal.
Well, these athletes had, battled. It was 102 male athletes competing in the semi-finals. 36 of them qualified for today's final, but currently we are now focusing on the leader of all of those, and it is Jamie Cook from Great Britain, number 2 on his vest, but in first place as he's coming up to the halfway marker. They've done 2 shoots, and they've almost completed 2 laps of the 800-meter running course.
He is looking very strong, as all of your compatriots are in the run shoot. Smooth and relaxed, and I'd love to know what your training program is.
Oh, I've got goosebumps at the moment just watching Jamie. He looks so relaxed. He's opened up a huge lead. Amro looking a bit more laboured in the run. Albert El Jaziri of Egypt still holding on to second as he comes past us here, and we're going to have to wait and see. But I think it's going to be a fight for bronze. Russia holding on to that bronze place at the moment. Igor Puchkareski started in 4th, holding on to 3rd right now. But it is another one of his teammates hot on his heels. It is Frolov from Russia, who is known to be a machine in the combined.
A machine. You can never count out the Russians or the Italians or the French in the combined, and Jamie is off. That was a blistering shoot, it looked like.
It does. I mean, there's Amro still got 3 shots left to clear, but we can see the Russian Puchkareski catching him up. And the shots here. Amro's still got 2 more shots. He's having a nightmare. He started so well, and I think everyone watching wants him to do well. He's such a lovely person. Last year when he won the silver medal at Worlds, everyone, just the whole crowd, were cheering him on, everyone behind him, and I'm sure they are again today, but it's just not quite enough at the moment.
It's not quite enough, and the young Russian is hot on his trail. I think he's only about 1 second behind after a blistering shoot where Amro was struggling. We'll see what he can do running. He does train up at altitude, but it doesn't seem to be helping him much down here at sea level.
I mean, saying that, talking about him training up at altitude, he's obviously got a lot of USA supporters training over in Colorado, so it's almost like a home crowd for Amro El Jaziri.
Absolutely. He's a hometown favorite. People have adopted him as one of their own.
I think the USA have had to. It was wonderful seeing Margot win the silver yesterday, but sadly only one male athlete for USA in the final today, Dennis Bauscher, and he's not really going to be having a look in today, I don't think.
No, I think the men have struggled, and we've got a couple great guys in our pipeline, but they are struggling to translate their training into significant international competition wins.
And a great opportunity for them to have this home venue. But we just saw then that Amro has been overtaken by Igor Puchkareski. So it is now Jamie Cook in the lead, Igor Puchkareski from Russia in 2nd, and Amro El Jaziri from Egypt in 3rd, as we just saw a moment ago. They have done 3 shoots, just 1 shoot left to go, 1.5 laps of running. But Jamie has entered the arena. You can see him looking still very comfortable as he runs around the running course, laps through the riding arena.
He is just extending his lead, looking very strong and comfortable, and as he comes into the chute, he's thinking probably not as much pressure. He has time.
It's absolutely huge, this lead he has. I mean, this is amazing. I'm going to get far too excited, and I'm going to have to control my voice so I have something left for tomorrow. But here comes Jamie now. He's going to coming into the picture. 1 lap left to go. All he's got to do is hit those 5 shots. He can miss a couple.
He can miss.
And he's still got that gold medal. So, I mean, the Brits have really shone here in Sarasota. We saw the girls yesterday win a gold and a bronze. Can Jamie win the gold? I think he can.
I think it's in the bag for him. He has extended his lead so far over the young Russian who is coming into the arena now, followed by Amro El Jaziri, who is hoping to hold on for 3rd, but he is being hotly pursued by Frolov, Fernandez, and Hernandez. So there is a battle.
Oh, but Jamie really struggling on the range. So he's just there. He's got 2 shots cleared, but he's missing every other shot at the moment. Come on, Jamie. 2 more to get. He's got Puchkareski on his shoulder now. And Puchkareski already got his first shot away. Jamie needs 1 more. Once he's got that, he is safe. And yes, Jamie Cook is off the range. Jamie Cook, I can pretty much say, has won the gold medal here at the first World Cup. I'm already losing my voice. Please help me,
Monica. Basically taken over our competition on American soil. So it's Great Britain and Frolov from Russia is off into the...
So that pushes poor Amro El Jaziri from Egypt down to 4th. It's currently Great Britain who I pretty much can guarantee have got it, but we have still got to watch out for Ilya Frolov from Russia. He's moved up. He started in 11th. He's now in bronze position, chasing down his teammate, Igor Pechkoreski from Russia, who started 4th. It's going to be a battle between those two for silver and bronze, I think.
It's going to be a battle. He had a blistering shoot, absolutely flying out of that. Exactly what he needed. We see Jamie Cook having a ball, enjoying himself, knowing that the gold medal is
But he
his.
hasn't got time to let up. And Pechkoreski looks uncomfortable running, but there's still the gap. Jamie did shorten that gap quite a lot with a poor shoot on the last round. I think he's done enough, but it's going to be an exciting finish still. Amr El Jaziri, so sad to see him down in 4th. Started off so well, great first shoot, but couldn't hold it together.
Had an amazing beginning of the competition. So sad to see that it faltered in the shoot right there. The battle for 3rd is pretty much completed. We've got the.
It's gonna be interesting to see when we get them back in the shot whether Ilya Frolov has managed to close down his teammate. He's a very strong runner. Pechkoreski's younger. We don't know so much about him. Frolov currently ranked 2nd in the world. I mean, amazing that we didn't see his teammate, #1 in the world, who missed out on the final. But anyway, here we go. Jamie Cook.
It's such a battle to see what's left in the tank at this point. You've been competing for 2 days. Your body is tired. You're mentally exhausted, but there's nothing like the sprint to the
But look
finish.
at that. Jamie Cook just had a glance around his shoulder. He knows he's got to work, but he knows he has got this gold medal. Look at that, stretching out. This is so exciting. Oh, sorry, I'm losing my voice completely.
Like a greyhound coming into this arena, just tearing up the real estate.
The performance director is going to be ecstatic. 2 gold medals in 2 days. For Great Britain. Yes. Well done,
Jamie. The young Russian coming in.
That is amazing. And the silver medal goes to Pechkoreski from Russia.
3rd place from 11th to 3rd. Ilya Frolov, always a force to be contended with, and in 4th place, Amr El Jaziri.
Oh, and a close. And look at what a great finish for Fernandez from Guatemala, finishing in 6th. The young athlete, his first senior World Cup final.
And here comes Kuf, number started at 20 and 21. They've made significant improvements. Everybody's battling for their World Cup points.
It is.
Nobody's letting up. This is an exciting finish from the mid-packs, trying to make their international debut.
I mean, even Christoph Pat, a bad day for him. 28th on his vest, but not that far behind the leaders at the end of the day. What an exciting finish for the middle part of the field there.
Great round of applause from the crowd, cheering on the competitors for their efforts.
Oh, and a strong sprint finish from Joe Evans. 9th on his back. He'll be disappointed with that because he dropped considerably through the combined. We got a little bit carried away with the leaders there, so I'm not quite sure what happened. But
well, the coaches will all have something to say about this later as they evaluate their time per shooting series.
They certainly will. Arthur Lanigan O'Keefe for Ireland just crossing the finish line now, followed by Ilyashenkov from Kazakhstan.
And here comes our American Dennis Boucher, getting a round of applause from the United States. Not his day today. Put forth an effort, but just couldn't string together 5 events to bring him up from the bottom of the pack.
It's a shame, but the home crowd still gave him a really big cheer, and that's what it's all about. It is 5 sports throughout the day. You don't give up until the end, and the crowd haven't either.
It's a very international crowd down here in Sarasota. They have a lot of different countries represented in this small city, and I think they've been very supportive to all of the athletes throughout the day and the competition.
Polanski must have jogged around that. He had 15th on his back, and he's just crossed the line now. So something a bit up there, because he's one of the stronger athletes in the field, but maybe something not quite right. We've still got a couple of the athletes. Young Joseph Chung, who just had that nightmare in the waving to the cameras. I think he's going to go far, this Joseph Chung. He knows what he's doing.
I think this is just the beginning that we've seen from him. We're all going to be expecting great things, and we'll have him on our radar going forward.
It is. And he's determined not to finish last, or is he going to finish last? And look at that.
These two are having a good fun.
That's great.
Oh, what good spirit to see from those athletes.
Enjoying it, even though that they were in the end didn't have the best day, but still.
It's great to see they can keep a smile on their faces when they know it's just not their day.
All right, having fun till the end.
Exactly. Well, that concludes it here from the World Cup final in Sarasota. Tomorrow we will be back with the mixed relay. And we'll be showing you the prize giving shortly, so do stay tuned. But thank you so much for joining me today, Monica.
Thank you. It was fun. And if anybody has any questions or comments, you can tweet us. I'm MMFling on Twitter.
And I am Heather Fell News.
All right. We look forward to your comments and suggestions, and see you again tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Second board member for marketing, and Mr. Juan Manzo, Norseca Confederation President. Presenting the flowers today will be Matt Walsh, the publisher of the Observer Group, joined by Mr. Ray Sipley of Sipley and Shea, the official CPA of Sarasota-Bradenton Local Organizing Committee, joined with Lauren Fetter of Anheuser-Busch, and the athletes. So 4, 5, 6. So now in 6th place from Guatemala, Charlie Fernandez. In 4th place from Mexico, Ishmael Hernandez. In 4th place, representing Egypt, Amro El Jaziri. Presenting the New Balance prize money to these athletes will be Mrs. Shani Fang, the UIPM Secretary General. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our bronze medalist from Russia, Ilya Frolov. Presenting the medals, the bronze medals.
Lady, go there. Look to me. I'll give you one.
Ray, Mr. Ray Sipley, please. I'll take him. And now our silver medalist, representing Russia, Igor Puchkoreski. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our champion and gold medalist from Great Britain, Jamie Cook. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the national anthem of Great Britain. Our champions, ladies and gentlemen, the champions of the Men's World Cup Sarasota-Bradenton of Modern Pentathlon.